Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight, we're talking about financials. Are you falling for the propaganda? The reason why I ask is because the stock market went on a blitz earlier today after a bad week where people were taking profits. Now it shot right back up. So are you falling for the propaganda by selling when there's a bad week? And then now the market goes up and you already sold not to get some of that profit. And should we be well on our way? There's a lot more to talk about. Thank you so much for being here on the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right. Well, and don't forget to such as our professors own beachfrontjava.com. What do I mean by beachfront Java? Premium blend coffee and tea. Go over there, order up some, support our own Professor Auntie Val and family, and also make sure you use the promo code SSN Lifestyle. All caps. What do you get after your first order? Then you get discount for life. Whole bean, Keurig, fine ground, drip ground, Indonesian beans, African beans, Central American beans, South American beans, the premium beans on the planet, and whole beans, if I did not mention it, half pound, 1 pound, 3 pound, 5 pound bags. Get yours today. Now, let's talk about this. Buy assets that make sense is what you're going to have to do, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lesson, and shall I say, it is part of the community that you should know what is going on out here with financial markets, news, updates. What are you using to determine if what you're going to invest in, the numbers are correct, or are you listening to somebody on TV, somebody on YouTube, social media? What are you using? How do you know the information is correct? Well, Laverne Penix is here, an investor in his own right. Welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. He has that icon next to his name. I humbly appreciate. That means he's a member of the channel. And in this YouTube street, also known as Mr. Cool. And he brings his tagline, hello, SSN Nation. I hope everyone is doing well. I received the notification and video. The trailer was seen. Thank you so much for letting me know. And again, if you're new here, make sure you smash the like button. If you like what we're talking about, please subscribe to the channel. Click the all notification bell. And don't forget, again, share the videos because you never know who's out here, who needs this information. Tonight, I'm going to start this off a little bit differently because we know the stock market went crazy. We know what happened. But if you're not in the stock market, then you would have missed gains today. But that's not the actual point of the stock market. The stock market is basically asset classes that you can make money on while you're doing nothing else, but you do have to have money to invest in it. That is one of the main keys to all of this. But let's get to the information first. I want to get to something that's important because a lot of people in America, because of all the advertising on TV, radio, social media, you know, the Lambos, the I don't know, the watches, the jewelry, the homes, everybody looks at that as the magic numbers. But what I want to show you is something that is this propaganda. Because once you understand things aren't what they appear, all the gold in these streets do not glitter. Because once I'm going to mention these things, you just can't forget about it. So let's start with the first thing you see on the screen. You see this right here. This is going to be very interesting. Get your pen, pad, and paper ready now, please. Victor Marrero is here, another investor in the house, retiree. Welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream with that icon I humbly appreciate. Thank you so much. And he says his tagline, hello all, let's do this. That's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen. Get your pen, pads, and papers ready because we do this. We don't want you to be out here not understanding what you are trying to do. And the stock market's on fire. Real estate soon to be on fire. It's already started, actually. And businesses are going to have a rough time, especially mom and pops, in my estimation. Why do I say that? Because those other businesses that are going to be able to borrow, which unfortunately for a business, that's a death knell, but taking on debt for a small business is very predatory, and that puts you in a bad situation if you have a bad quarter or a bad half of a year, semi-annual, or a bad year, and you are a startup business. This is why we suggest buying assets that make sense, like a business that already exists, because at least this way, you know what profits are coming back to you based on a track record. So anyhow, that's why Shark Tank is out. But let's get down to the business at hand so we can stop with all the nonsense. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this number. There's no pretend. This is what we're doing here, getting things straight. Because what you think that you're aspiring to may not be what the majority of people are actually getting as far as income. Here's what I did, because I know Google has the answer, because I know it's already been, a statistic. So anyhow, what is the average income in the U.S. excluding the top 1,000 people? We have 350 million Americans, at least in the United States. Out of that, there's somewhere only around 180. Well, I'll put it this way, 150 to 180 million that's tracked, that have jobs working. Now, the top 100 who make the most money, you remove them from the United States statistics. This is from 2022, just so you know. But you can read it for yourself if you haven't already. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates that the median annual earnings for all workers, after you remove the 1,000 people of the wealthiest, notice workers starting at age 15 and over, not 18 and over, 15 and over, is only 47,960. Okay? And more specifically, estimates the median annual earnings for those who worked full-time year-round was 60,000. Now, I want you guys to understand they're using the word median. Now, this is all for statistics and everything. So I can sit here and say median. Somebody else may take median as average. See, that's the thing. I want to know what the average is. I don't really care. Here's how the median is done. Let's just say 200. We go from 0 to 199. All right, people. And basically, the person that is at 99, because 0 isn't a number, so I should go 1 to 200. But anyhow, 1 to 200. We get to 100. That is the median, because there's an equal number no matter which side of the fence you're on. That's not Well, in this case, it'll be the average. But all I'm trying to illustrate is that is how they dictate medians. It's going to be 100 numbers, and the person at number 100, that is the median. All right. So if we did 150 divided by 2 is 175. So the 175th person, however much they make, we are going to consider as the median price. That's how they do median. All right. Just so you guys understand. So here's the funny part. What percentage of Americans make $75,000 a year? I want you to notice something. Income bracket. Notice it doesn't show an income bracket 0 to 35,000, which we know a lot of people live below the poverty line. So now here we are, 10.6 for 35,000 to 49,000, 16.2, 50,000 to 75,000, 12.3, 75 to 99, 16.4%, 100,000 to 149,999,000. Okay, notice this adds up to what? 28, 16 is like 44. That's 54. Call it 55%. Very interesting. 55% is all under 150 and less. And then we don't know the number from 0 to 35, which could be, that's probably a large segment. I'd be willing to bet you it's like 20 some percent. I don't know the answer. You can Google it. But I just want you to see what you're thinking people are out here making, they are not. Just so you understand this. So when you're out here working your ass off and you're thinking I'll take the wage that I deserve, or well, I'm accepting, sometimes you have to start thinking, are you willing to join the rest of the gang? What do I mean by the rest of the gang? Well, I'm about to tell you because you guys already know. If you're new here, thank you for being here. But if you already know 70% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck, now all of a sudden, all these numbers that I just showed you doesn't make any sense. Or does it? Because no matter what the number is, they're living paycheck to paycheck, except the top 1,000, of course. So now I'm going to get into some other numbers. So when you're out here working your ass off and not thinking about doing any type of buying assets that give you money back or that's going to increase in value, then to talk about, look at this, living paycheck to paycheck statistics 2024. All right, so let me know what you guys are thinking. I'm going to step in here for a second after I left Victor Morel's intro here. Let's see what else. Nice rebound today with the stock market. That's why we keep saying to stay in it. That's right. Keep investing, stay in it. Oh, by the way, stock market is an asset. Why? It's going to pay you back if you buy dividend funds, but let's just say you don't. Now you go ETFs. Can you do that? You know you're going to get money back. Okay, fine. But there's more to it. When you buy in, if you would have bought, the NVIDIA is hot, right? All the AIs are hot. NVIDIA went down to 106, 105, whatever. Okay, 102, 103. So a $5 change is 5%. It's dropped as low as 91, 92-ish. 91 something. It would be like 16%. Who wouldn't take 16% for even just 1 year? Let alone, we'll see if this type of things you have to think about. Wait, I got some things coming in my. He wanted me to click on something. Okay, why are we having a problem here? What's going on? Eric, click the 4 more rows link below. He wants to see the 4 more rows. Okay. Let's go back. 5 Let's make it happen. Once again, let me go over here and see what's going on. Fatone71, how you doing? Fatone, can you zoom in, please? Unfortunately, I can't zoom in. Can't see the text. Thank you. Oh man, I didn't realize that. I don't have the Zoom capabilities on this platform. And yeah, now I see what you're saying. That is pretty small. I see it right now. I got to get out the screen myself because I didn't realize the wordings were that small, and that's not good. So let's go look at this shot. All right. That is disturbing. That is really, really disturbing. All right. Let's see here. Control plus sign. Oh, we got something. All right. All right. All righty. All right. I like it. I see you. All right. Hopefully people can see these screens a little better. Let me know, Fit One. Hopefully you can see it. Let me know. You guys have a smaller screen over there. Let me know if that helps. I can't really tell since I'm not on my phone, but hopefully that helps a little bit. That's crazy. Mute. Thank you. Wow, that chart tells you why it's better to use the median. If you notice, about 50% of the population makes over 75K a year. Therefore, the Joe Blow below is sucking wind. Exactly, Victor Marrero. He did exactly. That's a perfect example. This is why they use the median, because they know at a 50 percentile number, it's probably a little bit higher than if you took the average of everybody. So it's not going to be 74 grand or 75 grand average. So if you, it's the numbers game. They're using a household number, which is even scarier. That means in most places in America and around the world, you have a household. You're going to have two people, or you're going to have roommates. I mean, this is crazy that they're using that number. I thought it was actual individual people, but it makes it much worse if you're talking about households. That could be 2, 3 people or more. Especially now, I'm going to illustrate something about buying assets. A $500,000 home. You just saw the list. What did it go from? I should have, I wish I had on separate screens. But anyhow, whatever it showed, up to 149.9, right? You have to make 150 grand as a household, damn near, to buy a $500,000 house. I mean, this is no joke. So when you're sitting out here going, oh, my house went up, that's great. I understand. You get appreciation. You can have some assets. But the problem with it is buyers are limited, what I call the nosebleed section. This is also why I'm saying 2.5 years from now, you need to be making $200,000 per year as a household. Everybody, there's no way around it. You're going to be, first of all, a 2023 survey. Okay. We have inflation every year. Prices go up every year. Look at this right here. Highlighted that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, a 6% increase from the previous year. Here it is. In other words, more than 3/4 of Americans struggle to save or invest after paying for their monthly expenses. This is real. This isn't some made up stuff. Similarly, a 2023 Forbes Advisor survey revealed that nearly 70% of respondents either identified as living paycheck to paycheck, 40%, or even more concerning, reported that their income doesn't even cover their standard expenses, 29%. Damn. That's a negative. That's bad. That's very bad. That's very bad. Very, very bad, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go again. How much do Americans have saved? It's going to depend. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. Look at this right here. This is pretty serious. All respondents. It's only a certain percentage. Respondents whose income does not cover standard expenses, 14. Respondents who are living paycheck to paycheck. Wow. This is crazy. Savings. Over 2,000, 20%. But this is all based on their respondents. All right. Look at this. Families with one child were most likely to report living paycheck to paycheck. Now you understand why people are like doing what Japan did, not wanting to start having children, because they are very, very expensive. It's expensive for one human being, let alone an additional human being. Plus, if you're usually married or have a significant other, 3 people, and somebody has to take care of the child. But the problem is 2 people have to work for household income. So now your money's going to be siphoned off for daycare. I mean, that's why daycare is a huge business right now, because and people have to pay. I mean, I can't even imagine what people pay now. Thousands of dollars per month, 800, 1,000 1,200, 1,500 per month to have their children stay at a daycare, or somebody watch them while they're at work from 3 to 6 or something. I mean, this is insane. So the numbers do not lie. Numbers do not lie. And we never really looked at these, but you guys can already see high monthly bills, all 50% of your bills gone. Lack of budgeting and financial planning. This is what we don't want for you. 46%, half of the people almost. Low income. Well, if you have low income, 43%, you can't do much. Unexpected emergencies, 35. Increase in the cost of living, 31. That's across the board. Baby boomers, older generation. This is bad. You can see all the metrics. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Hopefully this link that I'm going to put in the chat room, people can go check this out themselves. I hope it fits. I don't know if it will. Hopefully. Nope, doesn't fit. It only fits in Twitch. I don't know. Let's see if it fits over here. Hopefully somebody can copy and go check it out themselves on Instagram as well. Yeah, it looks like on YouTube it doesn't fit. All right. That's scary. This is scary. So if you think you're going to be able to survive without having some sort of asset that can produce some money for you that you don't have to work for, then you're going to have a rude awakening. If not already, you're going to even have a more rude awakening in 2 or 3 years. So you're going to have to buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. You have good news. You have great news, quite frankly. Great news is the Federal Reserve is coming to the rescue. And why do I say that? Because the propagandists are telling me they're not coming to the rescue. They're saying there's going to be a recession. And I'm like, I just don't know about this. I don't see how. That's not what normally happens when the Fed reduces the interest rate. That's one of their only tools in their toolbox that they can actually make things happen. And so just so you didn't hear it from me, I went to the median. Median refers, oh, hold on a second. Let me get this popping off so everybody can see this. Hopefully this helps for the guys on the smaller screens. Maybe it works for them. I can't tell yet. Looks like we're going to be fine. Yeah, hopefully that works out. All right. Median refers to the middle value in a set of numbers when arranged in order. See, this is what I was referring to. While average and mean are essentially the same thing, they're kind of, meaning the sum of all numbers is a set divided by the number of values. Okay, we won't get into much more than that, but you can read it for yourself because you'll start getting confused about it maybe. But all I got to say is we can do this, right? So if I do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you add those up. That's 10 numbers, right? Right? The middle number, is it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The middle number is 4. So the mean is going to be 4. All right? There's 10 numbers. If I add all these numbers up, it's going to be 45. And so basically, 45 divided by 10 is 4.5. So the average is 4.5, but because that's not a number, we can't get there. So now what's going to end up happening is if you take the mean of the middle person of everybody's wages in America, that's very interesting. But if you take the average, now you know there's going to be a discrepancy, because if you remove just 1,000 people, then wages drop off significantly. All right. So that's why I wanted to point out, when you're doing research, you have to understand what you are reading. Average and mean could be two different things, and you have to understand, why are they talking to me like this? That's what you have to start. You have to go, why didn't they use the average, or vice versa? Why didn't they use the mean? There must be a reason, right? Because they're probably going to pick the better of the two. So when people are reporting their income, you have to start going, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me see what's going on. That's what you have to do. By the way, for all the NVIDIA holders, it's up to 107 now. All right. After hours, it went to 107. So again, when you start talking about a 4 or 5% difference between last week and this week, some people would say, well, hey, there's people that buy 1,000 shares or more. So you can imagine these people who bought it at 103 or 102, and they say, okay, I got 1,000 shares. Thank you very much. I'll sell for the $5 in less than a week. I could use $5,000. I mean, you could see how this works when you have money to invest. So that's what you want to build yourself up to. I want to add one other thing. Since we talked about the 1,000 people, the top 1% of earners in America earn an average of over 1 million per year. But here's the kicker. When you start breaking it up in states like California, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Washington, and Washington. But check this out. If you're in West Virginia, the top 1% need to make at least 435,302 when you break down the top 1% by states. Can you believe this? Unbelievable when you start thinking about it, right? So why not? Why not? And you guys don't think it matters where you live. It does. You've heard people before say, oh, it's expensive where we live. Yeah, there's a reason. If you make more money, generally it's going to be much more expensive with other incentives. So here's the map. Let's go look at it. We're going to look at it here. This is crazy. Victor Marrero, check this out. Oh my, I see some of his numbers he put in there. That's insane. Why can't I'm having a problem with my screen? I don't know why. If we get disconnected, this is a SSN Nation thing. All right. So don't worry. It happens all the time. I'll be back. Whenever we start talking about this is because people just look at numbers. They go to the stock market or they listen to their financial advisor. They just say, invest in this. You don't actually realize what is going on out here. So you have to prepare yourself. You know, Federal Reserve is going to reduce interest rates. I knew this was kind of going to happen. So anyhow, we're back. All right. So I went to a different screen, but here's Victor Marrero saying daycare is out of control. I have friends whose spouses are making tons of money doing childcare. Exactly. A couple can't afford for both to work, making 50K, and on top of that, having to pay for 2 or 3 kids. See, that's what the trade-off is. That's what generally people are doing. One spouse goes to work because then they realize, well, wait a minute, we're paying $2,000 or $3,000 a month for childcare. That's a job. Women, you should be validated at this point. It's always been a job. That's the point. That's why there's certain laws in our country for this. This is why men have to give child support. This is why men who work, or women who work and the other spouse stays at home, they get rewarded later. That's why these laws came about. This is a full-time job. Now people are finding out what our parents and grandparents knew. Respect who takes care of the children, who teaches the children should be a respectful thing. So I just want to point out, people effed around and found out that when they have both family members working, and then the kids get out of school at 3, and they used to call it, when I was growing up and when my daughters were growing up, latchkey kids, because kids would have keys to their house. Oftentimes, parents would not be home. So now from 3 o'clock, 3:30 till about 5:30, 6 o'clock, you can imagine some 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. What's going to happen? Most times than not, sure, sit around, have a little fun, go to the pool, but it's still hazardous not to have an adult around and leaving kids to their own devices. That was dangerous. So I just have to tell you, we'll get to the map in a second. So I just have to tell you, when I had my daughter, one of my daughters, I have 3 daughters. My youngest stayed with me. So I always had a constant battle with school and kids saying, hey, I'm going to go to my friend's house. And I'd be like, hey, what about are they home? Are the parents home? And then she would say, no. I'm just like, well, you can't go then. What are you talking about? So anyhow, that's how it works. Look at these numbers. 3 individuals, one making 50K, other making 100, other making 1 million. An average will be 383K, which skews the actual picture because of the fact there are 2 people way below 383K. Exactly. That's why they use the mean when they tell people about the wages, when in fact they should be using the average, and it's way, way different. Exactly. So in this case here, even if we had 3, no, we have the 383. An average will be 383, which skews the actual picture. Oh, 1 million. I was looking at 100,000. 1 million. Exactly. That's what they do here in America. They go, hey, it's 383. But if you use the mean, then you would go, it's 100K. Huge differences depending on how you're figuring out the stats. So yes, thank you for that example, Victor Morero. Exactly right. Exactly. That's why they use the top 1,000. Once you take them out, you're just like, wait a minute. Are we serious right now? This is the number? Just the top 1,000 highest paid people? You take out just 1,000 and that's the number? That's crazy when you think about it. All right. Here's the map, and here's Joe Nay. Welcome to the SSN Nation. Money Making Monday, Friday, with that icon next to his name, which I humbly appreciate. And he brings his tagline, what's good, SSN Nation? How is everybody this Money Making Monday evening? Hopefully everybody's doing well, because everybody has decided I need my extra disposable income to go into some sort of dividend funds and or stock market, because that's where things are going to heat up quickly, if not already, because they're all waiting. We got less than 7 days, should be a rate increase. At least I'm hoping. Maybe they'll wait for another 2 weeks. But nonetheless, we'll see how that all goes down. But glad to see you, Joe Nay. Thank you so much for being in the house. Make sure you do the trifecta. Smash the like button like Joe Nay. Got the notification, saw the trailer, and smash that like button. Show some love out here. Let's get down. All right, let's go down here. Let's go to the states. States, how much does it take to be the top 1% in each state? Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Look at this. 844K, Cali. Is that the highest? No, it can't be. Here we go. Connecticut, 953. New Jersey, 817. New York, 777. Washington State, where the tech guys moved up to. That used to be cheap as hell up there. 805,000. Woo! Texas, no longer cheap, 632,000. So where would everybody want to live? 500,000 in Missouri, 500,000 in Kansas. Things are out of control. Minnesota, 623,000. Ooh, that's the top 1%. So this is why people who live in Cali, Washington, New York, New Jersey, 817, Connecticut, 953, Massachusetts, 903, why they moved to other states in this southern Midwest cities, even Colorado's at 709 now for the top 1%. So they all moved to these lower, what's wrong with North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico? It costs less because the top 1% make less. Tells you all you need to know. They don't have that many people making even 400,000, the top 1%. So how much are people making in all these states? And you know what? I won't even get into it. I won't get into what I was about to say. But anyhow, let me get this up on screen because I know there's some people that probably want to see it. But yeah, there's some people right now thinking, hey, I make $300,000 a year and live in some of those states that say the top 1% is 400 grand. So you're living large, even 200 grand, 300, 100 grand. You're doing great. But as you know, we live in a capitalist system. These numbers have to keep rising every year because companies and corporations have to charge you a price increase. Shipping costs more. Everything costs more that way. So again, are you falling for the financial propaganda? You better buy assets that make sense. Again, assets that make sense. Yes, it has to be something that you buy that gives you a return on your investment. That's our definition of assets here. So just letting you guys know. This news is a very promising news to the younger generation. That's what it is, Jonay. Actually, it's not promising news to any generation. Because think of this. We have, for instance, Victor Marrero just retired officially. So think about this. Whatever he has, if you did what a lot of people did back in the day where they have a pension, and the pension is like, let's just say it's $3,000 a month. All right. And you started when you're, let's call it 62 or 65. It doesn't matter. The problem is 10 years from now, as you guys already know, between 2020 and 2023, just 3 years, prices went off the charts. They're going to continue. So even though they had everything established, this is the house we're going to buy because it costs this much. The utilities, the insurance, and if you have an HOA, this is all it's costing. And even if it went up 20, 30%, we're still good. So nobody envisions, what if it goes up 100%? What if your HOA is double? What if your insurance is triple? What if your repairs that previously were 100 or 500 are going to be now 4,000 for the same cost factors? And here it is 10 years later. You didn't get the 100, 200% increase in pay. You're retired. So they are also in a problematic situation. Then you have the baby boomers who resign to, well, I guess we're only going to have to rent. So when you start looking at it that way, Jonay is exactly right. It's not promising news because already they're living paycheck to paycheck. Can you imagine growing up? We all know when we grew up and you're younger, and well, 99% when you're younger, you don't make any money, right? Any livable wage. Let's put it that way. Until you start getting, in your 20s, or for the general population. So there's exceptions, obviously. If you learn a skill, a trade like plumbing, HVAC, and all that, you're going to get paid more than somebody. If you know that at 18, 19 years old, you're going to get paid more than anybody that's in college, generally, right? Clearly. So my point, though, is the fact that they are sitting there with this situation at hand. You are 25, 27, you decide to have a child, just what we were talking about earlier. You have to have a job, not only for your upkeep now, but in order to rear your child, you're going to have to do, where's your baby going to be when you're at your job? 2 people. Grandma's house. What if you don't have grandma's house? Because your job, you used to live in Alabama and you didn't like that $100,000 a year job because out in Cali, it's $250,000 that I could get paid, right? So You don't have grandma. So now you're going to have to get somebody to watch the child or children, and now you're going to have a problem. So why would you put that on yourself? This is not the thing. The good thing about the internet is you can always learn. This is not when we grew up and there was no internet. So you wouldn't know these numbers readily available. As a child, as 18, 19, 20 years old, you didn't know the numbers. There's nobody that would put out these numbers, because why would they? Your local news guys, they're not like finance guys. And you're going to watch TV, the financial news at night. They're not going to go over it individually. So you wouldn't know that all your friends who graduated from college and had 2 kids, by the time they're 28, 29, that they're having a hard time with childcare and work-life balance, as we now call it, right? You wouldn't have known that. You'd have just been, oh, we're just working. We're just making sure everybody's taken care of, and that's it. You're not thinking of anything else. But now the kids have all the information. Everybody has all the information. They know what it's going to take, and they know what their wages are. It's shared. It's online. It's out there. They're sitting there like, wait a minute, even if I make $50,000 a year and I have a kid, now I'm finding out I got to pay half of that for rent or a mortgage. You can't survive on 50% of your lodging, because this came up. Somebody made a video, and I actually had to comment because somebody was doing a live stream last night, and this exact same thing came up. And I was like, but in a different way. They were talking about how mortgage lenders, people could get mortgages over 30%, 35, 40, 45. And in fact, they said even a mortgage lender was giving people 50% of their income. Is that crazy? That's crazy, right? 50%. I have bad news for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you're out here going to buy a house on this next bull run, do not fall for the 50%. Do not fall for the 45%. Do not fall for the 40%. Listen to me very carefully. Do not fall for the 35%. I know you want that house, but don't fall for it. Because if you go over 30% of the income that you make that goes towards paying for a mortgage, the default rate is off the charts. As you start getting to 30, to 32, to 35, to 40, it starts getting crazy. So you're putting yourself at risk if you think that just because somebody's going to give you a loan and you sit there and go, yeah, I make $100,000 a year. And keep in mind, after tax, how much do you have? All right, just keep everything real, because you're going to get screwed. Because if you go down here and you say, okay, I make $100,000 a year, sure, no problem, I can get a $4,000 a month note. That's 40%. You're going to be screwed, because what's not going to be in there, you better figure out how much your insurance is and everything. If you have HOAs, you better factor in a whole bunch of numbers, because then you still have to live. And this is why we have a paycheck to paycheck situation right now of 70%, 78% sometime during the month are living paycheck to paycheck. 70% every month is living paycheck to paycheck. So this is why we have this, because we have predatory lending. Instead of them people saying, okay, you don't qualify, you got to do 28, 27% of your income. We don't feel safe. But see, they don't have any incentive to make sure that the loan is paid, because that's not their objective. Their objective is to get derivatives. I just need as many people to sign a contract so I have a piece of paper that I can run over here to Wall Street and say, hey, man, I got $20 million worth of loans. How much will you pay me right now? And then they'll come up with a number, 12 million, 10 million, 8 million. It doesn't matter to you. You didn't get the money. You have to wait 15 to 20 years to get back some money. You're going to get back money, but you're not going to get the $300,000 or $500,000 loan you gave out. you're going to have to wait quite a few years. But if you turn around and sell the paper, all you did was a nice little transaction. Thank you very much. Thank you for buying this house for $500,000. Thank you for giving me $202, or let's just keep it $200,000 up front. And you take the risk on collecting the money. Why am I going to take the risk? Risk minimization. So of course the baby boomers and everybody else has to seriously consider, why are you going to buy a house overpriced? This is another thing that I don't understand in the capitalist system, why people decide I'm going to buy anyhow when you don't have to. You're the customer. You can turn away. This is another discussion I'm probably going to have on Friday or Wednesday. Here we go. Yael Dennis, welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. Thank you so much for being in the house. Great to be here. Yael Dennis, I'm glad to see you in here. Paul Castillo, another investor, is here. Welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream with that icon. I humbly appreciate. And he says, good evening, SSN Nation. Got the notification. Let's do this. Spouting the Victor Marrero line. Let's do this. That's what we do. You know, Mr. Cole, hard facts. You guys have to understand, it's going to get harder out here. And imagine if it's going to get harder. It's getting harder for me even. Because my Airbnbs, that has been a staple since 2012. When I first signed up, when they called me and said, hey, we need your help. 2012 till 2024. We had a rise. We had a level. We now have a little downside because I am in all the markets that people vacation at. And a lot of those markets now have new rules because a lot of people vacation there. And a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that vacation there, people have a lot of Airbnbs. Because at the time, homes everywhere, renting out short-term rentals wasn't a thing 12 years ago. Wasn't even a thing 10 years ago. So these are the type of things that change over time for businesses. And what do you have to do to change up your game? For me, I'm seeing 70%, 50%, 40%. I'm just seeing a slide. And now, because of the demographics, 70% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Sure, we still have the people that have make money and they get to, go and do whatever they want. But now they're picky because the numbers don't jive with normal vacations like they used to. It used to be your airfare wasn't that expensive. Your hotel stays or wherever you decide to stay wasn't that expensive. Your meals wasn't that expensive. But now everything is almost double to triple what it used to be just 10 short years ago. The only thing that hasn't tripled is airfare. But airfare did something different. They made you pay for bags in most instances now, whereas before they were free. So actually you are paying almost the same amount, especially if you have 2 bags, $70 on top of the airfare or more. So there's tension between Venezuela and DR. Maduro is threatening DR to cut oil production. Will this impact DR construction industry? I don't believe so. No. What oil? It's not going to. Okay. And there's another factor about DR as well. They have LP, natural gas stations. Not everybody runs on gas in the DR. In fact, a lot of people use LP. That's why the first time I never even realized it, because I rarely drive around with people. And so when I was staying there over the month, almost 2 months, I drove around with people. And the first time we pulled at the gas station, I'm like sitting in the ride and they're like, get out the car. I was like, what? What for? I thought the guys were just getting gas. They're like, no, we're at an LP station. I was like, oh, natural gas? I'm like, all right, no problem. But this is what I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I don't know. In fact, why is there tension between Venezuela and DR in the first place? That doesn't even make any sense. Now we got to go Google because we got people that invested on the island. What do they? What is Venezuela bitching about? I don't understand. There's flights from DR. I mean, Venezuela to DR. Whoa. Something about Nicolas Maduro is being investigated in the Dominican Republic. Okay, baseball game, but that's not it. I don't know what the issue is. An ongoing social, economic, political crisis began in Venezuela. Okay, we know about that. I don't understand. Oh, here we go. Oh, 3 days ago, after controversial re-election of Maduro on July 28, Venezuela suspended commercial flights to and from the Dominican Republic. Oh, oh no. Oh no. And here's why. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what I'm talking about. U.S. seizes Venezuela leader Maduro's plane in the DR. Oh my God. The United States, and they flew it from Dominican Republic to Florida. Oh man, oh man. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Are you kidding me right now? Doing the bidding for the U.S. Justice Department. This is what I worry about right here. See? DR acting like they're partners with the United States. They should have said kick rocks. All right. So yeah, there's going to be tension apparently. They cut it off. So that means, oh my God, there's some people that's from Venezuela that stay in the DR. And now they can't come back unless what? They got to go to Colombia or something? Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. DR, man, why are you getting into other affairs? You should have just told them to kick rocks. There is no freaking reason. It ain't your fight. This is crazy. Oh my God. Kick rocks. Here we go. You can tell the difference of people traveling before versus now when looking at our current bookings. Exactly. Even the doctor I see, he told me he's seen a decrease of patients because they are broke. Exactly. 70% of the population are living paycheck to paycheck. That means there's going to be a drop in a lot of places. I'm in a lot of places. Even Vegas is seeing a drop. I mean, Hawaii, Vegas, Anaheim, Orlando for me, everywhere. There's a huge drop for me because it's a specialty. I don't even charge that much. Well, it's by default. If a hotel charges $600, I mean, even if I charge $120 less, that's a significant difference for a 4 or 5 night stay. But people aren't buying it. So what they're doing is taking alternatives. They're taking a lesser place to stay. They're sitting there saying, okay, we can stuff 4 people in a 1 bedroom or 2 queen size beds. We'll just stay at the hotel because the hotels are hurting. So the hotel's prices are like 180, 200 or less. But if I have a 2 bedroom, I can't charge 180. They can. So here's what's happening, right? I'm telling you straight up, this is what's going down. Got to be real. This is what's happening. Airbnb used to be golden for me, and all my places are in tourist locations. It's not like they're in Timbuktu. These are all in tourist locations. You want to be at Canal Street in New Orleans? Okay. French Quarter, New Orleans. Okay. Garden District, New Orleans. Okay. Several locations in all different parts of the city. It still does not matter because casinos there, hotels are there, and they're saying, well, we got to slash our prices. And so now we have IOUs, we have HOAs, we have maintenance fees, right? So we can only go so low. So they all of a sudden had a reversal because they're not having that many tourists. So anyhow, that's crazy, Victor Morel. This is another thing right here, healthcare. See, Americans, you got to get on board. If you're in a country and somebody says we want everybody to have health care and they're going to fund it, you should be signing up behind whoever is saying this. Yes, let's go. Because what Victor Morel just said right now wouldn't matter if we're in, well, 32 other countries. It wouldn't matter because you would still get health care because you're broke, because your country provides it. America, allegedly the wealthiest country, is the only developed nation that out of, well, the top 32 developed nations is the only one that does not have universal health care for its citizens. Well, we got planes, we got bombs. Okay, I won't get into this. But the point of the matter is, this is exactly why there's a situation. So either you pay for it one way or another. How do you pay for it one way or another? Well, maybe you don't spend like $1 trillion on the military industrial complex. Why don't you take out a few $100 million? Just saying. That's all that's needed annually. So what's the problem? People are already paying $1 trillion. Let's all right. So anyhow, the current bookings is going down and the doctors are having issues. All of this is going to come into play. And this is why when somebody tells you, again, I hate to be like on this little political thing, but when somebody told you 12 years ago, 13 years ago, universal health care, somebody else goes, no, we got to negotiate. Well, the negotiations break down because now you'd say, oh, who's going to pay for it? Well, no, we're not going to give money from the military industrial complex. So then, well, I want universal health care. Well, then you're going to have to come up with something else. Oh, I'm going to have to tax the individual taxpayers or something. Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. And so that's what actually happened. Then it was based on insurance. People in Florida know what I'm talking about. If you start removing insurance companies out of the state, that now means you're going to have to pay a higher premium. That is what happened in Florida. That's what's happening in California. That's what's happening in a lot of states. Texas, same thing. There's no way around it. Insurance companies aren't stupid. They're taking less liability. But here's the thing. After you decide, okay, we'll do it this way because then we can have all these insurance companies. Insurance companies are like, hold up, we're not going across state lines because we want you to pay more. We don't want to have more competition because that means they'll be paying less. So see, then that's how they were able to block it. Now you go 12, 14 years later, and now you're seeing what happens with the doctors. They're not going to get money. People are just going to delay themselves. They're going to get sicker. They're not going to go to the hospital because they have a copay or it's not covered for the first 2,000, 5,000, whatever the case may be. All kind of different plans out here. Or you're in the wrong state. You left your state. You got it out of provider territory. All kind of things that wouldn't even be a thing. But no. So here we are now. You're in jeopardy of your health. You're in jeopardy of where you're going to live. You're in jeopardy of being able to buy food. You're in jeopardy of everything because of a capitalist system. Now, we talk about DR. You can get insurance in DR for pennies on the dollar compared to in the US. $40, $75 a month. Covered. This is crazy, right? Just saying. All right, Victor Marrero. Yeah, I was looking it up. I wish I would have checked chat. DR confiscated Maduro's private plane and turned it over to the U.S. That's crazy right there, man. That's crazy. You know, DR will be on the U.S. side. Victor Marrero, yeah. DR should have been like, that's his plane. That's his plane. I'm sorry. He didn't land in your country. He landed in our country, or his plane did. Why why am I going to, we don't have nothing against Venezuela. Hell, we just added some more jets, Aerojet. We're bringing in more passengers from Venezuela next year, starting in September. Well, not now, starting in September, this month. At the end of this month, they were going to start additional flights out of Venezuela and out of Brazil, which Brazil won't matter in this equation. But all I'm saying, why are you effing up the game? I'm like, no, we making money. And then the U.S. is probably going to go, oh, yeah, that travel advisory, it's not just a 3. We're going to ramp it to a 4 if you don't comply. I'm pretty sure it was going something like that. So anyhow, that's messed up. That's messed up. Madeira Air Force One plane was seized in DR by the USA. That's crazy. That is really crazy, man. This is what I keep telling you guys. If you're an American citizen, this is unlike any other country. America will do you dirty around the world. This is what they do around the world. Again, a lot of you are not involved. You probably don't know anybody in France. But like I said, I am French. Okay? Birth certificate and all. One day I'll break it out. You guys can try to read it because I can't read French. But anyhow, if you know what I know, and I didn't know until I'm in France, and the guys were like, hey, man, that USA woman that I married had a tax issue, and then the U.S. government came in and grabbed money from my bank account that's not even attached to my wife's. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. You heard me correctly. This would be just like, in fact, Victor Marrero, I think his wife is Dominican, right? I think. But this would be just like DR calling up Victor Marrero's wife going, hey, we have a tax issue with this. You owe us thousands of dollars. We believe you owe us 1,000. Our records show you owe us thousands of dollars. And then the United States government being like, okay, yeah, here's her money out of her bank account. And oh, by the way, DR says, hey, make sure you get Mr. Marrero's. Check his accounts. Grab his too. It'd be like, that would be crazy, right? Grab his too, even though it's a separate, it's not even a joint bank account. Are you serious right now? So you guys, this is what's going on. And you think they're doing that around the world. They already do that in America. But all I'm trying to say is, imagine everything you know changes. So that's why I've been a proponent of buying offshore real estate. DR, fine. It doesn't matter. Wherever you feel comfortable. If Alicante, Spain is where Mr. and Mrs. Cool's going, Victor Marrero's going to have the SSN lifestyle party in Spain in like 45 to 60 days, right? I hope. I've seen it myself at the pharmacy. People taking shortcuts with medications like splitting pills in 2. That's why you have so many expats in places like Portugal, Thailand, etc. A lot cheaper. Exactly. This is all, it's more than what people think. It filters down to a level of survival. There's drugs that's in America that cost people like $1,000 a month that they could get in the DR. That's $100. This is crazy out here. And that's what they're doing to United States citizens. And you're a U.S. citizen. You should want better. You should want drug prices lower. You should want healthcare costs 0, like every other first world country. I mean, this is absurd. But anyhow, I won't get into it because I get upset when I think about it, because America, this alleged a powerful country, has 70% of its citizens living paycheck to paycheck, and they're allowing corporations to run the country. And they care about them making money, so they can operate around the world. They're not operating for us. They're operating for around the world to bring in additional money so people buy bonds and give us free money out of thin air. We'll give you 3.7%, but you got to buy our bonds. People do that until they don't. But all I'm saying is, this is why you have to understand, are you going to keep buying this propaganda out here? Because buying the propaganda for the last 50, 60 years has gotten people to where 70% of the population, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 people that you're walking by are living paycheck to paycheck. 1 paycheck, 2 paychecks away from being homeless. 3 paychecks if you count getting evicted. 4 or 5 paychecks if you count foreclosure. So this is where we're at. And it's not going to stop unless you start realizing where you are. You're in the Roman Empire right now. That's where you're at. You can't keep taking citizens' money, charging them more and more, but not paying them more. That's not possible. So you're going to have all of these type of things that Victor Marrero's talking about right now. Hello, all. James Way's in the house. Welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. He too has that icon next to his name. Thank you. I humbly appreciate it. He says, hello, all. Got the notification. RIP to the great James Earl Jones. I was remiss earlier. You are damn right. One of our great actors of our time that went under the radar, so to speak. But one of the great actors of our time, ladies and gentlemen, and his family, come to think of it, father as well. So once again, the man put in work all the time, and most people would know the Darth Vader voice is him, so of Star Wars. So that's very interesting. And you know what they did? They did an AI or something. They recorded his voice so they can do an AI, so they can always continually use it in the movies, I heard. I don't know if it's true. We'll see later on down the line, but that's what I heard. So that'll be very interesting. And I wonder, does that also mean the family, the estate gets to get paid every time they do it? That's what the key word is. Are the family members going to get paid for life? Or, you know, these movies generate hundreds, if not billions of dollars, right? So that'll be very interesting. All right, James Way, is the rent too damn high still, though? That's what I want to know. Is it coming down? Is it going up? Let's know. Let us know. All right, buy assets that make sense. Let's get into it. I've been in here, what, an hour? Yep, we've been here an hour already. Make sure you go to yieldmaxetfs.com. That's all I can tell you right now. yieldmaxetfs.com. Go over there, do your research, go study. Make sure you understand what you're studying, because the rent is too damn high. That's James Way's tagline. I can't take credit for it, all right? Okay, so again, make sure you understand what you're studying, what you're looking at, because things can get crazy out here. Riz the Ruler, DMJ911, I see you on Instagram out there. Thank you so much for being in the house. By the way, I have this problem when I give out the WhatsApp chat room. You know, it's ridiculous. We have people that come in there spamming, doing crazy stuff. Here's the link to the WhatsApp group. And of course, I have to, you know, boot people out when they try to spam. Or come on, guys. We're trying to help people out here. If you're just a spamming person, no need to join. I will kick you out. So I will block you. It's that simple. All right. Here we go. All right. If you think it's bad now, watch when AI technology kicks in. All of us will be out of jobs. Paul Castillo. There you go. There you go. Contributing to the problem at hand. Buy assets that make sense. What are those assets going to be? Well, here's the interesting thing, though. The thing that I'm trying to figure out right now, I was thinking about this past week. I was like, what if you own real estate? They do AI. And now what jobs will people have if everything can be almost, you're basically servicing robotic activity, which you might be sitting at your computer, or you might be doing a drone stick or something. I mean, your job is going to have a lower wage because the technology is going to be almost, you're just watching and may have to do an override or something. So I'm trying to figure out how this is going to be a great thing when only a select few of people are going to be making a lot more money, and the rest of everybody else is just going to be support staff. Watch and monitor. It reminds me of like 1935 when you had telephone calls to make. And so you had a bank of these wires, and you just had these ladies. Generally, it was a female job. You had these ladies answering the phone, the operator. Who do you want me to connect you to? And they'd be connecting on the switchboard. That's what this reminds me of. How much are you going to pay the person connecting? I mean, how's that going to be a high-paying job? You damn sure aren't going to get $200,000 a year for doing this. That's what you're going to need. So all these jobs that you're going to need to pay more. So if you have real estate, there's going to be a cap. At least this is my assessment. So let me know what you guys think. Or is now buying a home even going to make sense if nobody can afford a home 6-8 years from now? Think about it, right? So again, I always think I might have to think a little worldwide, just in case, because nobody knows what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. Electric vehicle markets, AI, we don't know what's going to happen with robotics. We don't even know what's going to happen with governments. So again, you falling for the financial propaganda, but falling for any propaganda is bad news. You need to check out the stats and information yourself. Apple's new iPhone 16 is out, and the stock didn't seem to move. Of course not. I think people are saturated with Apple. I own stock and don't plan to sell. It's a long-term buy. Yes, I agree with that. AAPL, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know what the stock symbol is for Apple, AAPL. I agree. Apple is always a long-term play. Why? They have the money, the means, the power, the customer base to switch into any vehicle that can make money in the tech industry. So I agree. Apple's always a long-term play. Just like Microsoft, just like Amazon, just like Google. All of these companies have trillions of dollars sitting around all over the planet. We'll drop it into billions. They have billions of dollars sitting all over the planet. Because remember, you want your money offshore as a corporation. So then it's not going to be taxed in the U.S. as long as you don't bring the money into the U.S. So you're going to leave the money offshore. The only way you're going to bring it onshore is if you had a holiday, like a bank holiday that says, oh, yeah, we're not going to charge anything. Bring over the $500 billion. That might move the needle. Got to do it within these first, 2 weeks of whatever. But otherwise, there's no incentive because you're doing business offshore anyhow. You're not doing business in the U.S. So there's no real incentive to even do that unless you have to pay crazy taxes elsewhere. So just saying, it's all going to go to a head. You can see the writing on the wall. I hope you guys can, because I've always said America's a third world country. You just don't know it yet. And the reason you don't know it yet is because you didn't know the numbers. You didn't understand at one point there was 50% of the population living paycheck to paycheck, then 60%, now 70+%. What's going to happen when it's 80%? That's coming up in the next 2-3 years. There's no way around it. Just simply by people borrowing. That's what's going to happen. First of all, the iPhone 16, how much is it? Is it $1,600? Is it $2,000? How much are these damn phones now? That's another problem. Who's going to afford these things? It used to be a big deal. Apple would come out with their, meeting, and all of a sudden, they would come out with new innovations. But here's the thing. You can only keep coming out with new innovations every year for so long before the rest of the competition are sitting there siphoning off your sales. I'd be willing to bet you Apple has their sales siphoned off along with Samsung, because you can't keep doing these incremental, oh, we got this better little camera or this better video capture or better speakers. That only wins so long when people sit there and say, we're living paycheck to paycheck. How am I going to buy a $1,600 phone? Or $1,800? I don't even know how much it is. It might even be $2,000 the way things are moving now. How are you just going to justify that? Why are you going to say, well, yeah, I'll get rid of this phone and get a $2,000 phone or an $1,800 phone or a $1,600 phone? This phone will do for another few years. Like me, I'll just tell you right now, I have a Note 9. I am notorious for keeping my phones till it's no longer viable. So as long as my phone keeps working, I'm rocking with it. Even though I don't have the specs, I may not have whatever's needed, I'm rocking with it. As you guys know, the first 3-4 years, I kept a phone that had this little lens problem because I wanted to illustrate to people, regardless of the situation, we're still rocking out here. We're still making videos. We're still telling people valuable information. It's not about really the equipment, even though it makes it look nice. It's more about the content of what is said or what you can glean from learning. That is the most valuable situation. You shouldn't be going, oh, what cars, what house, what this, what's that. You need to find out, hey, is this information legitimate, what they're telling me? I won't get into that because that reminds me of a commercial or something that came up that I saw from that guy, X, 10X. AI is already taking jobs like cashiers, customer phone reps, pay toll attendants, and many more to come. Exactly. And by the way, the people that used to be at the toll used to get paid a decent wage. Unbelievable. No longer. Photographing your tags and yourself or whatever. And that's it. That's crazy right there. Crazy work. Thousands of people out of a job. Very good point. Phones. They're AI. Answering services, AI. Hell, like I told you guys, PayPal was using AI like 3-4 years ago. My account was locked up because they said, oh, AI blocked it for whatever reason. Because basically a guy that I've been doing business with, we both do short-term rentals. So he has extra points that I use to make reservations. So we've been doing business at least 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. All of a sudden I get a message. I tried to pay him. And all of a sudden it says, you can't pay him. There's a problem. Or there might be something with his account. And I'm like, it's the same account he's had for the whole time. Why now are we having a problem? Call up PayPal. PayPal says, oh, it's the AI. It blocked you. I'm like, why? It's the same guy, same email, same everything, same amounts, nothing different. Oh, well, we can't clear it. You got to wait 72 hours. I'm like, what the hell? Override. You guys can see we've done transactions for 6-7 years. Override. And so then 72 hours comes. So then I try the next day, doesn't go through. Now I'm on the phone again with PayPal. Hey, what happened? It's been 3, and today's the 4th day, so it's not going through. Oh, well, AI thing, it'll release it. I'm like, this is crazy. This is real crazy. Leaving it in the hands of a robot. All right, good question. Haven't heard the price yet, but I suspect you'll have millions running to get it, even at 2K. Just put it on the credit card. They don't learn. Exactly. That's exactly where it's going. And again, all-time record high with credit card debt, because that's the only thing people can use when you live paycheck to paycheck. You got to go with your credit card. So needless to say, credit card debt's going to keep increasing. That's not going to go down until nobody can pay it. Then they'll start coming down. Then there'll start be restrictions. Then it's going to be very, very bad, because there is nobody at the helm. The United States government, nobody is caring about what you're doing financially, because they've bribed all the senators and all the congressmen. So they just allow all the corporations to just run everything. Now, Kroger is trying, I think Kroger's trying to buy Albertson. There's only like 4 grocery chains in the US, I believe. You would take out, it'd be dropped to 3. And the CEO is at Capitol Hill saying that'll be good for prices. I was like, what kind of propaganda is this? Who says reduce competition, the prices are going to get better? Where has this ever happened? Better for the consumers? He's like, yes, the price will be good for consumers if we only go down to 3 companies. He didn't say 3, but he said it'll be a good thing if we merge. Prices will go down for customers. I was like, what the man, when you hear this kind of crap, you just want to slap somebody off the TV screen. You're sitting there with their smug face, with the serious face saying this, hurting the American citizens. And they know they're hurting the American citizens, but they have nerve to say that. You better prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's not so much who's running. It's not so much Congress and Senate and all that, even though it is, because it depends on who's in power that's going to allow these clowns to do this. If you believe in a capitalist system, corporations are the rule of the land, oh yeah, let them merge. F the customers, F the USA citizens. But the good news is DOJ, whoever, they're trying to fight this, because this is dangerous. Down to 3 major grocery chains, they're colluding as it is. What could happen? All right. So I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. And you know what's so bad? So there's a company called Huawei, Huawei, right? They're not even in the United States market. They have a phone that I just saw today because it came out like, I guess a few days ago. It's a trifold cell phone. The damn thing, I think it said 11,900 won. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. The Chinese maker, 2.7 million phones on pre-order. People paid to pre-order. Can you believe this? Oh, by the way, the rest of the world can get Huawei phones. United States, they're blocked. Even their phone is going to be $1,600. This blew me away. Traditionally, their phones would be $500 to $700. That's how they got to be the second largest phone manufacturer in the world. You heard me. The second largest phone manufacturer in the world does not have the United States market. Can't be in the United States market. Imagine if they were in the United States market and they could sell to United States citizens. They would be number one by a lot. That's how crazy this is. So we're being suckered here this whole time while the rest of the world is getting what Victor Moreau was talking about, going, look, we can go to the DR and go to the pharmacy and get antibiotics. United States, no, you got to go see a doctor. Even though you can Google, you can go to WebMD, you can go all over the place, because this information and find out, you can put in symptoms and say, what's the symptoms? What's the fix? You can get a clear idea. And it's Unbelievable when it comes to antibiotics and this new thing called a Zeppin. You can buy a Zeppin in the DR for like $175 or something. I hear it's $400, $600, $800 for this stuff. It's crazy. Crazy, I tell you. So again, this is the point. Are you falling for the financial propaganda, making it seem like everything's going to be fine? Everything's not going to be fine, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's not going to be fine. You're going to have to determine what side of the fence you're on. Are you going to be on the people side or are you going to be on corporation side? If you're going to be on corporation side, then that means no unions, no wage increases. CEOs, like what just happened with Starbucks, they gave over $100 million to one of the CEOs, either the ex-CEO who just left or the new one coming in, and they're giving it 50 million or 13 or 25 million to the one coming in, or vice versa. They're getting rid of over 120 or 30 million dollars. Just like that. Seriously. Is that unbelievable? But yet the workers, sorry to tell you, they're on the average income list under 50 grand a year. You see the difference? It's ridiculous. Are you falling for this propaganda? You keep being for corporations, you're going to find yourself without a job, without health care. And if you have a job, what a lot of people are learning right now, you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. There should be a standard. Livable wages should be a thing. Why are we allowing these people to make $20 billion profit, $50 billion profit, and give people non-livable wages while they're actually part of the production? They're actually a cog in the machine. If you guys walked off your job, the business stops. So until you guys grow a backbone, which is going to be hard to do if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not going to jeopardize your job, right? Especially if you have one of those jobs that pay for your health care, or maybe even pay for your health care and child care, or subsidize it somehow. You're not leaving. You're going to sit there and take it, right? That's what humans do. You're going to sit there and be like, oh, yes, sir, I'll be there. You'll be there. You're not going to be, because your alternative is what? Go to another job that has no health care, no nothing else, no subsidies for child care or anything else. No, that's a valuable. How much is that worth extra? 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30,000 annually. So even if you do get underpaid wage wise, them paying for the other stuff, you're like, hell yeah, I'll get underpaid. I'll live paycheck to paycheck, but I can't give it up. I got the health care and I got 2 kids. You are not leaving. So now they have you. That's why buy assets that make sense. Your own business kind of makes sense, but a startup is risky. Buying another business makes sense because at least you know what the profits are. Buying multifamily properties makes sense. But does buying art, gold, silver, jewelry, designer bags, what else makes sense? Stocks make sense. Dividend stocks make sense. All I can tell you is if you're already going to be living paycheck to paycheck, which is 70% of the people in the workforce, it's only going to get worse. Even if everything just went up 5 to 10%, you're already living paycheck to paycheck. And unless your job says we're going to give you 5% or 10% increase, you're not going to meet that goal of staying level even. So that means you're going to get left behind. And that's where people are right now. Households left behind. The kids are staying at home. What do I mean? 18, 19, 20, 25, 26, 27. Why leave the parents' house when they have the house and all the rooms are empty, right? So those are the type of options that are available to families. So you guys tell me, are you falling for the financial propaganda, or are you actually doing something about it and making sure that you get your assets that pay you? You have no choice. And in fact, I would say a stern warning, you have no choice but to invest in corporations because they're going to be the last one standing. You understand this? So we were just talking about here with the AI jobs. See, what you guys don't understand is even though the individuals lost the job, the corporation still gets to operate. They're the ones that's going to have the AI. They're the ones that's going to have the robotics, like Amazon. Go to their warehouse. Go look at Amazon's warehouse. Go online, YouTube. Go look and put robotics for Amazon. You'll see thousands of robots picking out stuff, putting stuff up, picking stuff off of shelves, doing all kind of crazy stuff. That used to be workers that manually did it with forklifts and then have to hand it to somebody, drive it to somewhere. Used to have nice, decent paying jobs. Those are gone. Thousands of warehouse jobs gone that are used to being a union, used to getting paid decent wages, livable wages, and then some. Gone. So if you think what we're talking about right here is on a small scale, wait till you have, instead of 3 million jobs doing it, wait till there's 40 million jobs that have been disrupted. So you better start coming up with another plan. Because even your $200,000 that you're going to need like 3 years from now, you may not have a job for $200,000. That's the scary part. So now you're going to have to generate. And one other thing, you're going to have to do what the big boys have been doing for years. You might have to do offshore business, worldwide global business. You may not be able to rely on United States citizens as customers. So I'm going to give you an example. We talked about DR, right? Buy assets that make sense. If you have the highest tourist population in the Latin America, then it makes sense that you might want to buy real estate or start a business in that market. But at the same time, if you have 50% of the tourists coming from the United States, 60% including Canada, Canada and the United States citizens have a problem living paycheck to paycheck. Now, all of a sudden, the United States citizens aren't coming. Canadian citizens slow down. Now they have to figure out where's the rest of the people coming from that has disposable income. See, this is what's going down right as we speak that you have to start considering. So we can get more tourists, but are we going to get the tourists that have the disposable income coming in? That's where the kicker comes in. So you can't willy-nilly just go, hey, I'm just going to go to DR, buy myself a $350,000, $400,000, $500,000 condo or villa. You can do that if you plan on living there, but I would not be doing that thinking I'm going to be able to get this kind of money to make it make sense, because you're going to have to need 0.1% bare minimum to make it make sense. And if you have a note, a loan, then it won't make sense. I can tell you already, it's not going to make sense. I'll give you an example. The $500,000 house, well, forget the house. We'll go to $400,000 and you bought a villa. $300,000, you bought a villa. Got to make it reasonable, right? 0.1% means $30,000 annually, which means $2,500 per month. Now, are we going to talk about before our management fees, HOA fees? But 40%, 120,000, if you do the 20-40-40 plan, you're going to owe 120,000 and have a loan for 120,000. Your interest rate may be 8, 9, but that might be for a year. If it's 10, more than likely, or 12, do you understand? You're going to be paying like $1,400 just a month. That also means your HOA might be $300 a month. You're going to be $1,700 per month without insurance coverage yet, without water, without whatever else you got to pay for by it sitting there, your $2,500 per month ain't going to cut it, because now you pay 25% to a management company. So the 30,000 isn't 30,000. It's 22,500. You're going to be giving up 18 grand for your house note and HOAs. So now what? You're going to go through all this to get 4 grand a month? And that's if you can charge the $300 per night, which you should be able to. But that's, you're not going to be able to charge $600 per night. Because if you charge me $600 per night, I'm going to an all-inclusive. I'm like, you forget this. That's insane. So you have a cap and a ceiling on what you're going to be able to do. Especially if you start talking about families. Families go, okay, 2 people, 2 kids. 2 adults, 2 kids. What's going to happen? Some of these all-inclusives go, oh, 2 adults, the kids stay free. And we charge $500, and you have excursion packs, water parks for starters, the mini golf, the zip lines, the rock climbing, the whatever other things that people pay for when they don't stay in a place and just stay in a normal villa location. So all of a sudden things are going to change. So things are going to change. Are you going to be prepared? That's why anything, if you can get something 100,000, 150, 250, you're probably going to be good. That's the golden rule. But once you start going above that number, you may be fine, but I would not risk the next 5 years on it, or 10. But I do know 100, 200 per night, 250 per night. I know that's you can get that damn near right now. So I'm not going to worry about that in the future, but I will be worried about trying to charge 400, 500 per night, realizing there's all-inclusive resorts. I would be a little worried about that. All right. Now you have to be in the right location. Moon Palace, you're part of the chat room. Did you guys see that? Did I put it in the chat room? Let me see. Did I put it in? No, that's the top 1%. So what did I do? I didn't do it right. I didn't do the WhatsApp. Hold on. Let me put it in the chat room. Go sign up. I put in our chat room. Oh, okay. It didn't happen. I put in our chat room the Zolia today, a little picture of the beach area. It's at Moon Palace. It's pricey. This is why I'm bringing it up. It's in Macau. Hey, Victor Marrero, they talking about Hard Rock, Moon Palace. They're calling her Macau. So now I guess Hard Rock is Macau. That's funny. So, but anyhow, a DR property with a loan, it better be cheap. I would say any loan over 100K, you won't make ROI. It's also better be at an interest below 8% in dollars and for 20 or more years. Yeah. Victor Moreau, that's the problem in the DR and around the world. Where are you going to get a loan for 8% at 20 years? Or 20 years, because you're not going to get 30 years at the moment. Where are you going to get these at? It's not going to be 8% for 20 years, unless you know somebody that got one. Because as far as I know, you have fixed for a few years, up to 5 generally. Then after that, they go to this crazy stuff like 12, 14% adjustable rate loans. So let me know if somebody's been able to get 8% for 20 years. But yeah, you're exactly right. You're going to have a problem. He's exactly right. Any loan over 100 is going to be a problem. You're going to be paying 800 or 1,000 or 1,200 per month HOA plus 300 or 400. I mean, 300 or 400 HOA, $1,200, $1,300 for mortgage. You're at $1,800. And then you have to keep in mind, if you have management, that's 25% of your income. Then you're going to have to worry about occupancy rates. And occupancy rates fluctuate. Like right now, I'm pretty sure this isn't considered high season. This is going to be very interesting. That's all I can say. But don't put yourself. Make sure you buy assets that make sense. Assets that pay you is what you want. Now, if you just want to have a property for you to eventually retire, maybe get a little bit of rent, and you don't care about putting money out of pocket, then go for it. Yeah, that's it exactly. That's a secondary home. And here's the problem, Victor Morel, that I see. If you're, this is basically ordinary citizens can't do it. If you're 70% of the population living paycheck to paycheck, even if you had a secondary home, you now can't afford to pay the mortgage note of your secondary home. That's where the problem comes in. You can't do it. So that means only people that have extra income, disposable income, are going to be able to do it, who are well off, who's not in the 70 to 78% of living paycheck to paycheck, which is 80. You have to be the top 20% of the wealthiest. That's only a smaller and smaller number. So that creates an inherent problem that you can already see that's going to happen. If your market is to Canadians and United States citizens, and you have the top 20% of the wealthiest are the only ones that are going to be buyers, that inherently means we can't just keep selling thousands of units because we don't even have the buyers. Because the top 20% of the wealthiest are going to sit there and say, okay, well, why am I going to buy here versus Saint-Tropez? Why am I going to buy here versus Alicante in Spain? Or why am I going to buy here instead of buying in Greece or Dubai or Thailand or Vietnam or wherever, Philippines or Mexico or Brazil or Costa Rica or Belize, Ecuador? I mean, you have so many options. If you're willing to spend like 400 grand, 350, you got options all over the world, including in the United States. So it makes zero sense. That's why I buy assets that make sense. And then you have to figure out, what am I doing? But the people in the top 20%, they usually have more money, right? They have that 100 plus thousand, 140, 150, 160,000 and up, right? So again, are you falling for the propaganda? You have to look beyond the propaganda and figure out what you're trying to do. Victor Morel, he says, here it is. I thought Scotiabank had a loan for around 7% interest fixed. No, it's not fixed. We were talking about a few weeks ago. It's not fixed. And it wasn't, I didn't know it was 7%. I thought it was 8.5 was the lowest. And it's not fixed anyhow. It was like fixed for, I think it was 5 years. Then after that, it jumped into the freaking who knows land. 12.5, 13.5% interest, adjustable rate year after year. I'm like, who does this? That's like, you just killed yourself if you sign up for something like that. So again, in case you're interested in real estate, I am a broker, SSN Lifestyle, SRL in the DR. There is properties, 1 bedrooms, 99,000, 130, 140,000. They do not have any appliances inside. So you're going to have to buy those and furniture. But that's about the cheapest you're going to get inside a place that has amenities, which is inside Vistacana, 7 Palms. They have Elite, they have Adventure, they have Luxury. You're going to have a 27, 28-month payment plan. Your payments are going to be, well, $1,300 a month or $1,000 a month, somewhere in that ballpark. And then on delivery, you're going to owe 40%, which is 40 grand to about 60, 70 grand. And you know the numbers, 8.5% for your first year, or up to 5 years, let's call it. Best case scenario at the moment, which could change because as banks need business, then they change. And they're going to change. But the point right now is, you know you're going to be paying 8.5 on the 40%. So you have to run your numbers. How much can you rent this stuff for? And give up 25% property management. And you're going to have HOAs of 2 times whatever your square footage is. So no, I didn't hear about the 7%. I just heard about the 8 or 8 point. I always have 8.5 because Scotiabank, that's what they told me. But I think it was 8% somebody said they had for 5 yees. I think that's what they said. Then they said it goes into the crazy zone. 13, 14% adjustable rate after that. And I'm like, wait, 15 years of that? That's off the charts. Even for 50 grand, that's 14%. It's like $700 a month. That's insane. And then your HOAs make you paying $900 a month just for you to stay there, and you haven't even paid for electricity yet. For when your guests aren't there, who's going to pay the electricity? Just going to leave it off until they arrive? I mean, even though as long as you have everything off, there's no electricity use, but as long as you have as long as you have a fridge, there has to be, unless you're going to, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm leaving it on all the time, but that's just me. It's going to be kind of crazy. So yeah, we can't, hell, you can't even do 7%, quite frankly. I mean, just here in America, 7% stops the real estate market. So I mean, at least you're not paying, at Paul Castillo, that's exactly what will happen because of demand. Those seeking homes will still be jammed up. Exactly. That's the way I see it. Here we go. I missed this part. If mortgage interest rates drop as predicted, does that mean we'll see home prices skyrocket even more? Exactly. I agree. That's exactly what's going to happen. The propaganda, the financial propaganda that's out there, they're telling people that if the feds reduce the interest rate, that home prices are going to go down. I'm like, that has never happened. Ever. That's the whole point of raising the interest rate, then dropping it. So then people run out and refi and rebuy more stuff after they take their equity out. And people sell their homes too, and then they take their equity out and go buy another home. I mean, I don't know about this propaganda talking about if you cut the interest rates, home prices are going to go down. I don't know about that. I don't know about the propaganda where you cut the interest rate and stock prices are going to go down when companies are chomping at the bit to get a loan, plus use their own money, which I don't know why they would, but using money to buy their own shares. I mean, you really have to, I don't even know what there's to think about here. Because once you understand how this works for them, for you, it doesn't make any sense because you can't do it. But if you're a corporation, and for instance, NVIDIA, they're going to use $57 billion over the next 3 years to buy their stock. Stock buyback is what they're calling it. They have $7 billion left over from their previous stock buybacks. Now they're going to do another $50 billion. So I have to ask, you're all smart here. You're running the corporation. You're at the executive meeting. Do you think, A, that they're going to say, let's use our $57 billion, our duffel bag of cash, and we'll just buy our own stock? Or would you go to somebody and say, hey, I have $50 billion sitting in an account that's earning, I don't even know what this is, but we'll just say 5%. Make it simple. Somebody's giving me 5%. Let's see. What's that? That's is that 25? What is that? I don't even know what that number is, quite frankly. Is that 25 million? Wait, that's 250 million. Okay. So can you please give me a $57 billion loan? Because see, guys, I have 5% sitting over here, and that gets me $250 million a year. So you guys are going to give me an interest-only loan at 2% for everything I want to buy for 10 years, or first our negotiations, 15 years. Are you guys down with that? And they're going to say, yes, we're down with the interest only for 15 years at 2%. They just now arbitrage 3%. They get to keep. The stocks that they're buying back goes up in value. So at the end of the rainbow, they get to sell more shares of stock that they have for a higher price. A win, win, win. Gentlemen, how do you vote? Who in their right mind is not going to vote for this? Who's not going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to turn down like $100 million every year, 150 million every year? Sure. We'll just give that up because there's only 8 of us at the table. There's 8 of us at the table. Sure. Okay, you get 10 mil, you get 10 mil, you get 12 mil a year, you get 15 a mil, CEO, you get 25. Done. Owen, how many shares are we giving each other that we're buying back? And bonuses that we're going to get when we hit our share price. See, this is what I'm saying. You guys have to understand where you're playing at. You're in a system right now that is definitely like it's 1860. John D. Rockefeller, Standard Oil, owning all the oil companies. This is where we're at right now. The railroad companies, all owned by 1, 2 individuals. This is where we're at. You guys are seeing it in real time. In 100 and some odd years, we're back to where 3, 4, 5 companies are controlling industries. And you think this is going to work out for you. It's not. You have to be in the game. If you haven't downloaded Robinhood and Webull, which are brokerage accounts for the stock market, please drop it down below. Or please get them down below in the description box. And they give you free shares of stock. But do both of them. They're apps. One of them you have to pay. The other one, Robinhood, gives you your free share of stock. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat room so people don't have to go far. And go to Yomax ETFs if you're interested in dividends. We haven't really talked about it because every time I talk about Yomax ETFs, we get booted out. Victor Morrell does say something that's very valuable for ordinary citizens. I see it already. I saw 1031. So here it is. Now I could see used homes going lower as many will go for the new project that comes with warranty, etc. Maybe a good time to get rental home. I am hoping to get one in Florida using a 1031 exchange. That means you're giving up one property for another, though, which is okay. So basically, this is what I'm sorry, Victor Moreau, I have to say it. I have to tell it like it is. This is what the rich people do. Smart people do. The reason why you do this is you avoid capital gains tax. And you buy another asset that's priced higher because the 1031, your home went up in value. So everybody has okay, look, let me get into some things you need to write down or remember. So you have a home. The home goes up $250,000. You're a single person. You have a $250,000 exemption. If you're married, you have a $500,000 exemption. All right. So that's the thing. Victor Moreau has presented what is going to happen. This will happen. What's going to end up happening is your 1031, not only do you get that increase in value exemption, but with a 1031, you get other exemptions. So now they're going to sell. Let's just say you bought a house for $500,000, I don't know, 10 years ago in the upscale luxury neighborhood that I told you, right? Now the house is 1.2. Yikes. I have $750,000 capital gains out of that. I'm not married. I got a $500,000 capital gains tax bill incoming. So instead of that, you say, hold up, I need to go buy me $1 million house. I do a 1031 exchange. So now you go and get a 1031 exchange house, but now I don't have the capital gains liability. So this is what people do because what were you going to do with the money? You were going to buy another house anyhow, right? So this is one of the vehicles that rich people win. This is one of the vehicles that a lot of people could win, but a lot of people don't have enough funds where they can not take money out because of the value. If your house went up to 1.2, the odds are you would say, wow, I got 700,000 profit. It depends on how long you live there, but let's just say you had, 750,000 profit from when you bought it. But all houses cost way more. If you want to stay in the same neighborhood, it's the same price. So you say, I'm going to take my dollar and dishes and run. You'll say, I'll go get me a $250,000 house somewhere in Texas, outside of the suburbs of Houston or Dallas, brand new, and keep $500,000 in some of it in Yomax ETFs, giving me 15 to 20 to 30 to 40% return on my money. Put some in JEPI and JEPQ. JEPI, JEPI. JEPQ, give me about 8 or 9%, 10% annually on my some of that money. Then you say, hey, real estate investment trust, I like them because they're going to refinance their homes. That means the loans they have are going to reduce in price. So that makes sense to me, because if they're giving me 13, 14, 15% right now, imagine when I reinvest and use that money to reinvest. So yeah, let me have a $50,000 to $100,000 worth of that too. So you can break it into different categories, all making sense, because you know what's going to happen if you decide to take money out now. If you say 1031, well, hey, nice, great move. And everybody should look up 1031 exchanges, familiarize yourself, especially if you think you're going to sell your house. Think about it, because this is another way to keep wealth in the family. All right, Victor Marrero, I'd like to get a rental property in Florida, but it might be too late the way home prices have increased. What's a 1031 exchange? Okay, here's what we'll do. Make it nice and clear. In fact, I like this right here, 1031 exchange rules. It's not that real complicated. Let me see if I can find something. That's crowdfunding. That's like-kind exchanges. All right, let's go with IRS. I should have done some other things before I did this, but it's okay. It's all right. Let's go here. The reason why prices are going up in Florida, that would be a high risk, Paul Castillo. You need to understand what's happening. When there's a certain age of townhomes, condos, they are now have a requirement in the state of Florida to do certain things. You have to understand, if you live in a townhome that has an HOA, now they might have to consider the new law that came out, and now people have liabilities of 100,000, 150,000 or more in a lot of instances. So you got to be very, very careful buying property in Florida right now. And insurance cost, if you're not in an HOA, insurance cost. And if you buy a townhome that's older than 15 years and it hasn't had its roof changed, you may not even be able to get insurance depending on which city you're in. And you might have to buy what do you call it? Water intrusion insurance. All right, here we go. Whenever you sell business or investment property, you have a gain. You generally have to pay tax on the gain. All right, we have people I know somewhere that's saying, hey, show me a bigger screen, Eric. All right, hopefully that helps. All right, here we are. Provides, see, 1031 provides an exception and allows you to postpone paying tax on the gain if you reinvest the proceeds in similar property as part of a qualifying like-kind exchange. There it is. Gain deferred in a like-kind exchange under IRC Section 1031 is tax deferred, but it is not tax-free. Right. Because this is why, this is, okay, I just got to keep saying there's a lot of homes that are empty that rich people own, because sometimes they just 1031. They just keep 1031ing. Nobody lives there. They just don't want to pay the capital gains. There's other ways around paying capital gains, but this is one of them. The exchange can include like-kind property exclusively, or can include like-kind property along with cash liabilities and property that are not like-kind. All right, let's go with who qualifies. Owners of investment and business property may qualify for 1031 deferral. Individuals, C corporations, S corporations, partnerships, limited liabilities, trusts, TRUSTS. If you have assets, you need to find out about trust. And any other tax-paying entity may set up an exchange of business or investment properties for business or investment properties under Section 1031. There must be, this is what you need. There must be an exchange of properties. That's the simplest type. Oh, they're saying it. That's the simplest type of Section 1031 exchange, is a simultaneous swap of one property for another. Deferred exchanges are more complex but allow flexibility. They allow you to dispose of property and subsequently acquire one of the more other like-kind replacements. To qualify, a deferred exchange must be distinguished from the case of a taxpayer simply selling one property and using the proceeds to purchase another property, which is a taxable transaction. You're right. Rather, in a deferred exchange, the disposition of the relinquished property, notice relinquished property, and acquisition of the replacement property must be mutually dependent parts of an integrated transaction constituting an exchange of property. Taxpayers engaging in deferred exchanges generally use exchange facilitators under exchange agreements pursuant to rules in the income tax regulations. All right. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it in a nutshell. I won't go into further, but what I will do is, you know what we do here? We put a link in the chat rooms. Everybody's chat room gets the link if you're interested. You can go see where it is. It's on the IRS website. All right. So hopefully, I see I don't have this. Oh, I do have it on the screen. Okay. Everybody can see it. Certain types of property excluded: inventory, stocks, bonds, other securities. Forget about it. Just do the first limit is that you have 45 days from the date you sell the relinquished property to identify potential replacement properties. In fact, I won't get into this because there is, you just can't, this isn't just like selling the house and you're done. There's all kind of rules, and the list goes on, and there's also, like they're saying here, restrictions. There's always restrictions whenever you have something where you can defer taxes. And so what people generally do, they just keep on adding or keep going, rolling over the deferred. And let's just keep it real. You can keep something for a lifetime, 20, 30, 40 years, right? I mean, that's how it works. That's how it works. Agree. I would stay away from South Florida condos, especially used ones. The closer to the water and the older, the higher risk of getting a non-recurring bill as owner. It can be thousands. Yes, Paul Castillo, you're messing around. I'm just going to say it how I look at it. Just think how life takes a funny turn. Remember, I left California and I was going to move to Florida because of the tax. 0% interest on tax, no capital gains tax for an LLC. And so the savings would be tremendous. Then my mother passes away. How wild, right? My mother passes away in the meantime. Soon as, we get everything together, getting ready to move, and I'm thinking I wanted to go to Florida. Mother passes away. Then we have a probate scenario. So now it's all changed up. I'm hanging out here in Georgia. But over the last 2 years, Florida has turned into an utter nightmare with HOAs, the new law that came out about the upkeep. And before the new law came out, there was already turmoil because the insurance companies wanted to pull out after the last hurricanes, the last couple. So they started being strict, such as one of the things that blows me away: your house is over 15 years old. You need to put on a new roof. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, a new roof is $100,000 instead of $15,000 to $25,000. Then they said you have to have flood insurance, even though you have a condo and you're on the 10th floor. They say, no, we need you to have flood insurance or we're not going to cover you. And then the insurance companies even went one step further. If you're in a certain area, we're not going to cover you at all. If you're in a certain zip code, we're not going to cover you. I mean, so this is where we're at. And insurance companies pulled out. When insurance companies pull out, what's going to happen? Just like anything else. I don't know what the CEO of Kroger's talking about, but whenever there's less competition, prices rise. So Victor Morrell can tell you how many X his insurance has went up between 5 years ago and now. And I don't know if he's in HOA. He probably is. His HOA bill, he can probably tell you how much that has went up. Because where I used to live in 2018, our HOAs were 68, but I call it $70 per month. My friends just told me they're paying 300 and something per month. In 6 years, it went from $70 a month to 300 and something per month. It does, okay, the same services, okay, lawn care, same services, but now they're paying 5 times, 5x. Same yard space, same house, same everything. The difference is insurances went up. The other fees have went up. Everything, electricity for running any street lights in the neighborhood, everything has went up. Water, sewer, garbage has went up. Everything. 5x here, 1x here, 3x there. Next thing you know, something that used to be like $250, $350 is now like $800. Crazy stuff. And then you add on your electrical bill, and everybody has a house that, not everybody. Houses range from 2,500 to, well, 7,000 or 8,000 square feet. But the point I'm trying to make is to heat and cool a 4,000 square foot house that I had, breathing, there or not there, was generally going to be anywhere from $350 to $400. Even if you're on vacation, you can't turn it off. You turn it off, and it's summertime, and it's 100 degrees out, 105, your house is going to be 100 and something. All right. So you just can't turn it off. You can turn up the thermostat, so that'll reduce your bill. But all I'm saying is that bill is now costing my friends $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month for their electric bill, because the electric company damn near doubled all the fees and then have surcharges added now. It's crazy. It's crazy, because I said, okay, I think after hanging out on this southeast corridor, I'm like, man, I want to come back to Cali, and that, quite frankly, I'm gonna move back to the same neighborhood. But they're like, hold up, man, you don't know how much it's costing. Used to pay $1,200 for insurance annually. Annually was $1,200 for that size house and everything. No. $5,500 is what they're paying now. I'm like, damn, I'm not going to move. Clearly can't move back to the same. I mean, there's a fluctuation depending on elevations and things like that. But still, $4,000, $4,500, $5,500 is the most I heard. Some people were $4,000, but still, that ain't $1,200 no more. This is just 6 years. That's it. Property tax, another $4,000 or $5,000. It was, first of all, it was 12,000, 13,000 annually, as it was. All right. So it's not for the faint at heart. So now imagine paying more than 12,000 for property taxes. See, this is why people are living paycheck to paycheck. And again, I'll keep telling you guys, where I live at the time, there were CEOs of tech companies who live where I live. They're government people that were ambassadors and things like that live where I live. These were people who made a lot of money. And most of the time, if anybody was, let's call it under 50 and not retired, they were always at work to make ends meet. You wouldn't think, right? But that's what they were doing. There's people making 200, 250,000. And because they would commute to the Bay Area, because that's where you're getting that pay scale, they're gone. They're leaving, driving for 2.5 hours. Wouldn't even come back home. So now they have somebody taking care of the kids. So now they're paying for that. Take them to school, stay overnight, live in the place called Ampere, right? I'm like, what? I was like, what? Okay, we can use that word. That's fine. But the point is, that's what's going on. Even in an upscale neighborhood, the prices are going up for everybody. So you have to be careful where you're going to move to. There's like no escape right now. Here's what happened with my mother's house. So when we had to have a change of name, number, whatever, what happened is the insurance company said, we're not going to insure the house. Sorry, you have to go to a B or C provider. Literally is what they said. Call up the B or C provider. They say, well, if you want to pay 10 times as much as you paid before, we can find somebody to get it. But right now, we're not really insuring it. So what happened? Had to go cut down trees. Because there's trees, right? Had to go chop them. Because we can't get insurance. They won't cover it. Even the B and the C said, ultimately, when they check it out, we're not going to cover it. Across the street, somebody bought a new house across the street. They've never lived in it. So the house was basically vacant for 7, 9, 10 months. It's been vacant for like almost damn near a year and a half. A tree fell on their house. They didn't have insurance. So therefore, that house with the tree and all messed up, luckily it hit their garage, but it took out all their garage. And since it took out the garage, when it rained, all the water went through their house. So I can only imagine what the house looked like. It sat open like that to the elements for probably almost, I'd say 8 months to 10 months. They just now decided to at least get the shell covered, but I don't even know what the damage of the house is. It's probably in the hundreds of thousands of dollars inside. I'm pretty sure. It's crazy. And they have brick outside. The house is made of brick. So I can only imagine how much it's going to cost out of pocket to get this fixed. It's crazy. So the stuff that's happening, it's not just in Florida. It's everywhere that the insurance, you're putting yourself in danger. So you just can't pick a spot. Let's see. I think I missed something. Here we go. Agree. I'd stay away from the South Florida. We went through that one. Now, what else do we have going on? This is crazy. Now, as an investment, I would get a single family home or townhome in Tampa or Orlando, and we'll rent it long term. The rental market here is extremely lucrative now. You have no choice. I would not recommend doing short-term rentals because I swear I have I have Sheridan, Westgate Lakes, Westgate Town Center, Orange Lake. I have access to the Mystic Dunes, Christmas, New Year's, Star. So I don't have any reservations coming in. Even Bonnet Creek, also, I don't have reservations coming in. That gives you an idea of what's happening for me. Because I have minimum days. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a 1-day rentals. So apparently Victor Morell's telling me he's getting more 2-day rentals, 1 or 2 or whatever. I don't know his minimums. I don't even qualify for a lot of people. A lot of families are coming in town, staying 1 night. I mean, 2 nights and leaving because of the price of Disney now and Universal and everybody else. So these are the things, these are the sign of times. What are you going to do in the future? Buy assets that make sense. The only assets are what we're talking about here. You can't just willy-nilly go to Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, like you used to be able to, Georgia, and go, I'm good because I'll be able to do something. You don't know if you're going to be able to do something. That's the problem. That's what the scary thing is. You don't know what insurance is going to do. You don't know what HOAs are going to do. You don't have no idea. You're thinking I'm in a perfect situation. My mortgage is this, my insurance is that. Next thing you know, they're calling you going, hey, you got to pay an extra $400 per month for insurance. And you're like, wait, I was just paying $200. They're like, yeah, now it's going to cost $600. You don't know. It could be any number, but any number is still a bad number. Even if they just said 200 is a bad number. Now as an investment, yeah, long-term could play. Well, long-term, I believe, is going to be a thing again, simply because there's a shortage of rental homes. So I think that's what's going to happen. My insurance for my primary residence in Florida goes up by at least $250 per year. That's $3,000. And we aren't in a flood zone. Oh my God. Jesus. Wow. Imagine if, God, anything close to the water in a flood zone, good luck with getting insurance. Exactly. This is what we're talking about. Now you can go Google this on YouTube. You'll see there's people and they're retired. What's even worse is they're retired. They're 65, 70, 75, 80. And they're sitting there going, I can't afford insurance. And now I'm going to still live here. And as they said in the interview, naked, not have insurance. I'm like, that is insane. And then the worst part is, some of these people live in HOA zones that needs upkeep, and they have like $50,000 special assessments. So now trying to sell it, some of these HOAs have stipulations that you have to pay that before you sell it. And then some have it where it's paid upon the sale price, but the price of the properties have come down. Because who wants to take on special assessment or more potential special assessments and a HOA that's in the thousands? Who wants to take that on? That's crazy. $2,000 HOAs, insane. $3,000, $1,500, that's crazy. So, and you live there. That's a mortgage note. And then you still have a mortgage note. That's crazy. So anyhow, like Victor Morrell's saying, Florida, I would be really, really leery. What would make more sense, to rent an investment property to a Section 8 tenant or to a I'm not the guy to ask. I'm going to tell you why, because I hate long-term rentals. And I'm not, and again, I got something to say about all of this. Okay. I'll start with Section 8. So I had I think it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo in Reno, Nevada. And my bright idea was listening to all this propaganda. Get a Section 8 tenant. The money comes in on like clockwork because it comes from the government. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And you're gonna, you're gonna be fine. You're just gonna have to make sure you qualify. So I don't know what, I'm checking into it to qualify. Okay, come to find out, I go down to the, I can't remember what I did, but Section 8 office, and they're like, oh, we got to come for an inspection. I'm like, what do you mean inspection? There's nothing wrong with the place. I have a washer, dryer, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Nothing's broken. Everything is like 5 years old or less. All good. Well, what's the problem? They have their own rules. So when they come and check out your place, they'll say, oh, no, this doesn't qualify for Section 8. You need this. So now I'm spending money on maintenance for something that was perfectly working fine. No issues whatsoever. They're saying, oh, no, you got to do this. So now we got to waste a few more hundreds on this. Okay, great. No biggie. The bill was, let's say $1,000. We get it approved. The Section 8 person moves there. The Section 8 person doesn't pay the rent to me. They have a subsidy. This particular Section 8 person They pay me like 30 or 50 bucks, and then the check comes from the other person. At least that's how mine went. I don't know how everybody else's works. So everything's going good for the first month. Then all of a sudden, I had this thing about repairs. If it was a certain number, you didn't have to call me. I think it was something like 250. In today's numbers, this would be crazy, but this is 1990 numbers. All right. Maybe 1989, 1990. It's 19. Let's call it. Yeah, it's 1991, 92 numbers. So 250 is probably, I don't know. I'd be willing to bet you that's probably $1,000 equivalent now. But let's just say, I'll just use a today equivalent. Let's just say $500. So the first month go by, she pays her rent, no problem. Next thing I know, Eric, he calls me up. Eric, the window is cracked or broken or something happened in the room. Okay, go out there. The guy comes back, $275. Okay, no problem. The next month, something's wrong with the washing machine. What are you talking about? Actually, that's a brand new washing machine. It was one of those top and bottoms. And I'm like, it's brand new. What are we talking about here? Oh, something happened with it. We had to send somebody out there. That's another $150. I'm just like, okay. The next month, something's wrong with the dishwasher. I'm like, are you joking right now? I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I said, okay, you got to go out there and go inspect the place. What's going on? And I'm like, this is not normal. Every month something's wrong when nothing's wrong with the appliances at all. But now there's all of a sudden every month something's wrong. Because I got to pay these people. It comes out of the profits. So for me, that's one of the things that happened. The second thing that happened, this is why I don't do long terms. That's why I switched up in the 90s. I did short-term rentals because I was like, F this. This does not make any sense to me. Because then people wouldn't pay. Because back then they had the same similar type of laws, except they were they were more lenient back then. When you had to evict somebody, 3 months before court case. 3 months. So now I had to evict her and I had to evict other people. I'm like, hey, you got to go. Every month there's a problem. 6 months of problems. Now next it's the door. It's the lock on the door. I'm just like, this doesn't even make sense for me. So now I had to evict a couple of people. There was a downturn in the early 90s. Savings and loan debacle and all that crap. But nonetheless, so what happens? 3 months, people don't have to pay rent. 3 months, holes in the wall, messing up the closets, stoves messed up. I mean, you name it. And you just have to sit there and take it. They're messing up thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Floors, walls, closet. I mean, it's insane. Insane. So after that, I was like, I will never, ever do long-term rentals again. And I never have, because I'm just like, I'm not even in there. Now, of course, they have different laws that, it could be shorter, 30 to 60 days. But I'm like, I'm not even doing that. So when people tell me the horror stories, we evicted somebody, all our fixtures are gone, all the copper out of the house is gone. They took our AC unit. Yeah, I've heard all the stories. I just start laughing because I'm like, exactly. And who's going to fix all this stuff? And you got to go buy all this stuff. I'm just like, this is wild. Wild stuff. So after that, I'm like, I'm not doing no long-term rentals whatsoever. I don't care if it's Section 8. You can forget about it. So anyhow, that's my horror stories. I'm just letting you know, man. At Paul Castillo, I love the Section 8, but the problem is all the bureaucracy, including inspections. Oh, Victor Morel's are on it too. Inspections of your property of compliance. Exactly. You're also subject to whatever the government is willing to pay you. That is true too. Traditionally, back then, it was the market. And actually, it was the market plus seemingly like an extra $100. I don't know what they do now, but that's in the 90s. But back then, they gave you a little more than the actual market rate. And I can only imagine what the numbers that the rates are these days. I don't think they're going to be giving somebody 2 Gs, 2,500, 3 Gs a month for Section 8. In fact, there should be a cap. There's a cap of what can be applied to Section 8. That's crazy. Oaks 30, welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. And I see a question. Hey, I'm 19. Find myself $400K in debt. Whoa, I have a gambling addiction and I don't see a way out. Am I cooked? Oaks 30, you're not cooked, my man. You're not cooked. Okay, it depends on the debt. You're not cooked. Okay. So hold on. Does that say 400? Nah, that's 40,000. Okay. I was going to say at 19, how do you get 400,000? Okay, it's 40,000. Okay. Here's what you need to do. Let me see if I have it. Let me see. Debt reduction. Debt reduction. I have a video. Debt reduction. Where's it at? No, I don't need that. I don't need that. Hold on. I got something for you, man. So anyhow, you need to get with debt reduction. I'll get you hooked up. Tracy. I'll get you hooked up with Tracy. What this does is, well, she'll have to explain everything to you. Because even though I have a video, she came on and did a live stream. How come I don't have her info? Tracy. Oh, hold on. Before that, let me do something real quick. Section 8 sounds like a nightmare then. Yeah, Paul Castillo. Again, I'm not a fan. But that doesn't mean other people are a fan. There may be some people here that have done Section 8 and had no problems. All I know is in the 90s, I had problems. So, and I did it twice. Because I had, I shouldn't even tell you, I had like 5 or 6 properties. And they were not in garbage locations. So there was, there's a Section 8 sometime has been associated in low income housing. It wasn't low income. Hell, the golf course is right next to my complex. Literally, you can walk out, be in the golf course. So that's where my Section 8 was. So it wasn't in a bad neighborhood. And actually, there really wasn't any bad place in Reno at the time, unless you were like in a effed up area like downtown. It wasn't really messed up. These weren't downtown. Wasn't by the college. Forget that too. And there was a section of town in Reno that was a bad few blocks. No, you never buy garbage properties if you plan on renting out. You always want to be in a B slot. So you get the better rent, the better neighborhood. Well, you guys know this. All right. So anyhow, Tracy, hold on. I'm going to play a commercial, Oaks 30. I'm going to play SSN Lifestyle. I didn't do the new one yet, but I'll play, let's see here. I'll do this one because I need a few minutes because I don't know if Tracy's still with Resolve. Let me see. All right, here we go.
Come on, come on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Oaks 30. I got to double check because it's I just got to make sure she's still at Resolve Finance. I'll let you get in touch with my daughter, man. All right. So, what basically happens is that you're going to have to go to zero. What do I mean by this? Well, I'll give you an example. So let's just say you have 40 grand. I don't know what it's comprised of, right? But what they do is they renegotiate with all of your lenders. So you don't have to file bankruptcy. But this means that you won't be able to use whatever credit you have. So basically, all your debt's going to be, let's just say, lowered. Then you're going to have a payment plan. And as long as you pay for like 1 or 2 years, then it's resolved. That's what her job is. So we have a video about it, but you need to talk to her specifically. And I just want to make sure, because I don't want to give her phone number. I just want to let her know. I need her email just to make sure that it's still the same one. I didn't want to give you another one, but I should get a text here, hopefully, while I'm on. If you're going to hang around for a little bit longer, hopefully you'll hang around a little bit longer. I'll have some info for you. All right. And make sure it's still up to date. So yeah, there's a resolution that you can have, but you're going to have to pay part of it back. And then after a certain time, it could be resolved, but you're going to have a bad, if it's credit or anything like that, you're going to have bad credit for at least, I think it's going to be 1 to 2 years. But on the backside of it, everything's going to be resolved. So then you can start new credit, and then you'll have good credit again. And you'll have your stuff paid off. You'll be out of it. So by the time you're 20, 21 done, be back on straight, and you won't have messed up for a lifetime. So it's a short period of time that it can get revamped, and you're only 19. So by 21, you'll be good. That's the thing. Now, the other problem, you're only 19. How are you gambling? I'm curious. Section 8 sounds like a nightmare. It's a nightmare for me. I just can't deal with it. I would suggest talking with other people in the neighborhood that you plan on having a Section 8, or if you can, I don't even know how you would find somebody that's doing a Section 8 property. Okay, or a property manager. You're looking for a property manager. They would know about Section 8. I would think. I'm pretty sure. Most property managers who do 100 rentals or 50 rentals or 30 will have a property 8 tenant. So that's one way. Victor Marrero, however, my parents have apartments in Puerto Rico under Section 8, and they love it. However, they don't take but elderly people with pensions. There you go. No young guys. As owner, you can interview the person. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. I guess that would be very helpful. Not lending to ordinary citizens 25, 30, 35 years old, because that's what my demographics was. And I mean, it was just like they're new. Basically, they weren't even 35, I don't think, probably 25, and having kids, 2 kids or 3. So there was qualifications to be on Section 8, by the way. So all I can remember, yeah, I wish I could have had some elderly people that were on pensions. That would have been the way to go, because that means they're not, the kids aren't there tearing stuff up. They're older, so that means the activity that they're doing isn't even going to be that much activity. And sometimes what I find is the older the person ever has been, when I rented month to month, they would actually take care of the property. I mean, sometimes they'd be like, I get a call from property management saying, "Hey, Eric, the garbage disposal, it don't work." Next thing I know, he calls me back and says, "Forget about it. The tenant, they actually fixed it." Stuff like that. Dishwasher didn't go down. Oh, don't worry. They have a friend that fixed the dishwasher. They handled it. Because I always had fair rents. Let's call it what it is. In that environment, I was never the highest renter. Unlike when I do short-term rentals, I'm usually in the top. I'm not the highest renter, but I'm usually in the top 10%. That's, and even though I have problems with short-term rentals, you have to reduce the price, dynamic pricing. Reducing the price hasn't even helped. The only thing that I could actually do that I have strict, I don't do where you can cancel in 3 days or 5 days or a week. I don't have that. So that's one of the last things I guess I can change. And I think people are getting spoiled that they can just reserve stuff and then cancel, because people have these cancel up until 2 or 3 days before stuff going on as well. That might have something to do with it. But there we go. There goes a solution. Victor Marrero comes up with the solution. If you're going to do Section 8, then get elderly people, if you can. Well, in this day and age, it's not that hard, because you're going to fall under the threshold, the income threshold. I'm pretty sure, if they still have that. As owner, you can interview. Yep, exactly. All right. You guys still falling for this financial propaganda out here? Because again, you have to understand, the only reason they can get away with propaganda is because most people have not studied economics. They know that. Most people aren't old enough to know what happens, like the Great Recession. A lot of people now may have been 13, 18 years old. watching their parents go through the Great Recession in 2006, 7, 8, 9. So that it doesn't mean much to them. So now they're, what is that, 14? Now they're 30 some years old. And who would know about the savings and loan debacle? You would have had to be of some certain age to recognize in 1990s, 1989, 90, 91, somewhere in there. You would have to be 18, generally 20, 21 or something. You would have to know that there was a problem. In the late 90s, about the dot-com bubble burst, the tech industry, what's rolling right now, the AI, for instance. Well, back then, it was the dot-com boom. In 2000, all these companies, there was like 20 of them, stock prices just going. And then all of a sudden, one day, the faucet got switched off. Dot-com boom, bust. Half of the companies went out of business. Few more merged, trying to survive. And therefore, out of the dust became this Yahoo out of nowhere, Google, all these guys out of the dust. Crazy. There was AOL that was bigger than everybody. Then they had to merge with Time Warner, I think it was. All of a sudden, things went haywire. Dot-com bust, poof, gone. So this is why this technology boom, it could be a bust. People don't understand. The EV market, it could be a bust. You don't know. But you know the hype. You see the stock prices moving. You know the EV car manufacturers were going to EV, then realized, wait, we don't have infrastructure. Duh. You're building cars with no infrastructure. This is crazy. Who would do this? Ford, GM, Chrysler. They're all doing. I'm like, this is crazy right now. You can't drive anywhere with these things. You can try it, but I'm not trying it. I'm not trying to leave the city with. In fact, I'm not even getting one. You can just forget about it. No, I'm not looking for pumps. I'm not looking to see if I match this plug-in and all. No, forget it. Makes no sense. And now it's a road trip and there's no plug-ins and I got to wait an hour to an hour and a half for a recharge up to 80, 90%. No, thank you. Can't drive out of the city. So EVs gone. Not working for me. What was that? I saw a screen pop up. That's not good. All right. So anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of thing that you have to figure out right now. Buy assets that make sense. Are you riding with the AI wave, with the AMD, with the TSMC, with the SMCI, which is an ETF? Are you going with the AI stocks? Because that's what the latest boom is going to be. You're going with a robotics company or companies. Are you going to buy an ETF? Or what are you going to do? Are you going to get dividends? Are you going to buy real estate, short-term rentals? But again, I'm going to caution everybody in the short-term rental market because I started evaluating around the world the little changing shifts. Airbnb has to make money. They're an entity. The countries who are enjoying a boom, like the DR, like Dubai, like everywhere, Philippines, it doesn't matter, Belize, Costa Rica, Mexico, all this stuff that you're doing short-term rentals on, there's something that in DR could and will happen eventually. And that is after they get all these units, and I don't even know if it's going to be after. I think it's going to be in the next year. I would guess next year this time. I'm waiting for the Ministry of Tourism to say there's a tax for Airbnb or short-term rentals, meaning VRBO, Airbnb, Exodus, whatever else, all the Evolve, all these guys. And if they do what they're probably going to do, if they do 18%, that puts a lot of people at risk as far as being able to afford their units. Because if I'm charging $200, and some people would say no big deal, $200 is now $236 just because of an 18% tax. Then I add the 40, well, we already had the 45 or $50 for housekeeping. So now we have to charge, we're already charging 200 plus 50 or 45, let's say 245. Now we have to charge almost 300 to get the same returns. So this is why I say you better be damn sure when you're buying something, if you're doing short-term rentals, you better be damn sure why you need amenities. Because if you're buying in an ordinary space, because I was just looking at a property, I wondered what happened to Adebayo 1, Atabay 1, Atabay 2, that was supposed to have a water park in one of these. They were cheap. They just now started building them. There's people that have villas in there because they had villas and condos. And they're charging like roughly $100 and some per night. Okay, great. They were only 100 and something. 165, 135 or whatever, kind of places, inexpensive. But at that location, I didn't see a water park. I don't know if they're still going to have one, but all I saw was a pool and a aerobic fitness room. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, it's kind of close to downtown, I guess, but now it's just a villa with a pool and a aerobic fitness room. And so I'm like, that's the only two things they have. They do have security gates. This is Atabay 1. And so I was like, how much are they charging? And I just put in like a random six nights. It came up to 500. No, sorry. Not 6 nights. I put in 4 nights by mistake. Then I put in 6 nights and it came up to, I think it was $600 and some odd dollars. So roughly a villa that cost $130,000, $140,000. I don't know if they're getting it because it was available, but it was about $100 per night. Now, that's not going to work, ladies and gentlemen, because if I have to add 18% tax, and that also means Airbnb has to operate inside the country, and they're going to operate as an SRL more than likely. That means they're going to have a 27% tax bill. You see where this is going? That means they're going to have a 27% tax bill that they're going to have to pay if this goes left. So all I'm saying is, this is why you can't just willy-nilly go, I'm going to spend 400 grand for stuff, 500 grand for stuff, 340, 50, 400, 300 grand. All I can say is, all I keep seeing is these nice places being built and they want 330, 350 grand for 2-bedroom condos, like Poseidonia, for instance. Even the Seven Palms, which has generally inexpensive properties, they want 250 for their penthouse. The 2-bedroom penthouse, $250K. So after you start backing out the numbers, taking out 25%, taking out some other fees, all of a sudden you're going to find yourself with, you need to rent this thing for 200. If you want $250, then how much do you have to rent it for? You have to add the 18%. You have to add the 3% from Airbnb or VRBO, whatever you're doing. There's, but now 25% is going to be taken off if you have property management. So you're going to be under 200. You can rent for 325. I mean, it could happen, but if you start getting pricey, you can only hope. So Victor Morero has a nice spot. They're calling it kind of like Macau now, which is supposed to be upscale luxury. It is upscale luxury at the Hard Rock, Moon Palace, and then Hyatt. So they're charging an arm and a leg. A 2-bedroom at Solia at Moon Palace, 2-bedroom, $520,000. That's what's happening. Look at this. In fact, okay, I didn't get Tracy's number. Well, why didn't you? Wait, what? Hold on a second. She got a new number. Just a second, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta. Yeah, that's the number I have. Well, why is she telling me? Just never mind. All right, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I should have just sent her a message. I should have just sent her a message myself. I was having somebody else handle this. I mean, Tracy. I was gonna have somebody else handle this, and then they send me the message. I'm like, what is this? Okay. All right, just a second. All right, let me know. Okay, what do we got here? That's Victor Morrell talking about his parents picking the older. That's a tip right there. No young people on Section 8. That's a tip. Airbnb used to be the jewel of low prices, not anymore. It's sometimes cheaper to stay in a hotel. That's close to everything, depending on the destination. So frustrated now that we're traveling. Yeah, tell me about it, Victor Morrell. That was the whole key, wasn't it? Okay, Okie. Let me do this. She's probably at work too. Thought I was going to have. Yeah, but Okies, man, you got to stop gambling, man. There's no future. There's no future in gambling, no matter how good you are. If you can't stop and you're addictive to gambling, then you're going to have to try to remove yourself out of putting yourself in that position. You have steps you have to take because you're going to be broke for life. All right? You're going to have to do it, and once you get things cleaned up, you're going to have to thank for the reprieve, and you can't do it again. I'm trying to think oh man, what was his name? TJ. TJ Cloutier. TJ, man. Damn. Hold on a second. TJ Cloutier and Canuck. Let's see. Let me see something. Let me see what happened. I gotta go look and see, man. I know he's not playing anymore. Well, I don't know anything. TJ Cloutier. Okay, it says he retired. Well, he had no choice. So let's okay, here's TJ Cloutier. He used to be a poker player. And he was a poker player like in the what am I saying, 70s? He's a poker player like in the 80s, 90s, and then 2000s came about. So he was a seasoned pro. The problem is the guy would win $150,000, $200,000. And back then, which, like I said, I haven't even really played in professional pokers in a while. But back then, they would give you chips, no cash, because chips are untraceable. Because you buy in, doesn't matter, 2,500 bucks for the tournament. So you're self-employed, and it's a casino. So really, what's there to report? You leave your money in the cage. So who knows how much money you have? Nobody. But anyhow, you come in, bring 2,500 for the tournament. You win the tournament. You get 100,000, 120, whatever. It doesn't matter. TJ goes to the cage, gets the chips. He goes to the tables. We're talking about picking up cash at 2 in the afternoon, won the tourney. By 2:35, he's at the craps table, 21 tables, and he's sitting there like 1,000 here, 500 there, 1,000 there. Next thing you know, he done lost 3/4 of it. Crazy. Next thing you know, he's asking people to borrow to be in the next tournament. Crazy stuff. And Unger was like that too. One of the baddest poker players in the world, but he was a drug guy. He's a gambling addict. And crazy. Nicest guy in the world. Scotty Wynn. This is poker, guys. Scotty Wynn, the coolest dude, but him too. He could win tournaments, blows through money, no worries. There's a lot. There's a young guy right now. I don't know if I should say anything. I won't say anything because luckily I can't remember his name. If that 18% rental tax law comes into effect in DR, a lot of people will be selling out their properties. There will be barely any profits left. Paul Castillo, yeah, exactly, because they were not members of the SSN Nation. They didn't know the rule. Do not go over $250,000 when you buy. If you can avoid it, you better have a good reason for going over 250. And there's a reason I say this is because in high tourist destinations, $299 to $399 in this day and age is not too much to spend on assuming you have a 2-bedroom if you spent $250 or larger, right? So people will give you that number. Once you go above that number, even though it'll work out, I think in DR it could work out. It really depends on tourist versus how many units are available. That's what really this is going to boil down to. They have so many units that are on the board to be built that are unaccounted for. Like right now, there's properties inside Vista Cana that I've never heard of. They must have been out in 2017, 2018. I never even knew they were even for sale. And so when you start finding out all these other units, and there are hundreds of units, and it turns into 100 here, 150 there, 20 there, 10 there, another 100 villas here, 25 villas there. Next thing you know, you've built 5,000 more units that's on the market between now and December of 2025. That literally could be a thing. So now you're going to be competing with all those people later. So I go and buy at Poseidonia for $350,000 for a 2-bedroom, while Victor Marrero's over there buying his for $230,000. It's almost the same sizes in the same location. So who's going to have an advantage? So even at the 18, I'm in Macau. So let's just say everything works out like it's supposed to. Upscale, luxury, environment. Macau's the go-to spot, one of them, like Cap Cana. And people they're losing their mind. They spend $450 per, well, I don't know how that happens, but let's just say they spend $450 per night. I don't see how you're going to have a high occupancy rate. But again, this is beyond me at this point. I just can't fathom it. But hey, who knows? I never thought I could rent a 2-bedroom in Vegas for $499 a night either. I never thought that day would come, but it happened. So, but it now has went down, and now it's all effed up. But that's because of the pandemic and a whole bunch of other factors that are not normal. But all I'm trying to illustrate is the persons that are buying the Poseidonia for $350. If you get an 18% increase, that is 3 times 20, 67. You're almost at 70 some dollars. Now you're at $425. Then I have a property management situation. Well, actually, it's even worse. It's a condo hotel. So that makes it even worse. So now, not only do I have to charge $499, $525. Now, since I'm in a condo hotel situation, I get 50%, which now means I'm only going to get out of $525, $250, which now means we're toast. We're really toast. 250 because they got to charge 5 something. And that doesn't get me back to my 0.1% goal of 350. They would have to charge 700, which is that's not even a possibility. At least I can't see it, because I'm thinking Hard Rock would have to be 1,300 per night in order for me to, well, forget that. Moon Palace, Hard Rock, Hyatt, and all the rest of the all-inclusives are going to have to be 700 a night for me to take a $550, $600 per night for a 2-bedroom unit there, because we're going to be looking for deals with the all-inclusives. Hell, you'd be better off being in an all-inclusive travel club if you're going to be spending $700, $800, $1,000 per night. That's crazy. Okay, never mind. I mean, we can keep going on and on, but that's exactly right. You're not going to have profits because the 18% doesn't come to you. First of all, you also, as an individual, whether it be an American or in the DR, you are under obligation to pay tax yourself on income. So take your pick. Either you have to claim it as a U.S. citizen, or you're going to have to claim it that you've got money in the DR, and then you're going to have to pay the tax in the DR, then use your exemption, or shouldn't say exemption, but you get to use that as a tax deductible expense in the U.S., so you don't have to pay tax in the U.S. and DR. Double taxation is what could occur, but you got to have the right accountants. Make sure you don't get double taxation. You either pay it in the DR or you pay your tax in the USA. Take your pick. Either way, you're gonna have to claim it. So the question comes, what a lot of people say. Okay, I don't know what's up with Tracy. Okay, Oaks, she hasn't hit me back. She could be at work right now because it's 9 o'clock. She might. No, she shouldn't be on the phone. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Oaks 30. Hit me up at support@stopstrugglingnow.com. Anybody can hit me up at support@stopstrugglingnow.com. All right. So, and then I'll send you over a phone number and or email, and you contact Tracy. She'll help you, man. That's what she has a great heart. She'll help you. She ain't trying to jack you. She's trying to help you. She's going to give you all the best programs for what you need to do. And there'll be, a cost, of course, but you'll get out of it. All right. So support@stopstrugglingnow.com if you need to reach me. You guys know I love you guys. So I'm going to probably wrap this up here shortly because I see we went a long time. But this conversation is, you got to buy assets that make sense. That's number one. And Paul Castillo, it's a numbers. So anybody that's doing investments, the reason why assets make sense in the first place, you have to run the numbers. You can't just go with the realtor or the commercial property guy. You can't go by even anything anybody says when you're buying an asset that's going to pay you. You have to know your numbers. You can't just go, hey, we can do simple things like what I just did. I can do simple things. If you tell me you want to buy a property and you say, hey, Eric, I'm going to buy a property. It's $500,000. I plan on doing whatever rentals, whatever. Then after you tell me how much you think it can rent for, you should know the number. Don't guess. If you tell me, hey, I'm going to be able to rent it for $500 and some odd dollars, that's my nightly rate, then I'm going to tell you 50% off automatically. I just go to 50%. So that means you're going to receive $250 just for a standard roundabout figuring out the box, because you're not going to run it yourself, right? You're going to have property management. You're going to have taxes. You're going to have I don't know if you have HOA, but most of the likely you're going to have taxes. You're going to have expenses. You're 50%. That's standard. I don't care if you're buying a $20 million project and somebody says, yeah, we make $2 million gross. Well, then I ain't buying it for $20 million. Okay. But besides that point, if they said they're making 2 million gross, then I say $1 million is profit. So again, I'm not paying 20 times. I do 10 times, but if it makes sense. Now, if you said, okay, Eric, it makes one, then I say it makes $1 million. Great. And they're like, how you know that? Because it's generally 50%. We'll be in the ballpark, whether it's 55 or 45. I just want to be in the ballpark to see if it's worth my while. You're saying you want $20 million. Okay, if I have to borrow $20 million, I got to pay $2 million. So I can't buy it. See how it works? We can already get it out the way. You only have to guess. We know we can't buy it. Because if I get hard money, so to speak, it's going to be 10%, 11%, 12%, hard money. Otherwise, you're going to have to put down 25 to 30% down. So 20 million, 30% down, 600, 700, 800,000. Inspections, appraisals, whatever. So take your pick. How are you going to finance this? Then after you finance it, or you're going to need cash. If you finance it, then good luck. 70% of wait. 30 million. Yeah, that's 600. 70% of 19. I'm sorry, that's 4 mil. Sorry, I'm all off. 4 mil. What am I thinking? 5 mil. Forgot. Where are you going to get the 5 mil from? And you still got to owe 15. You think you're going to get a $15 million loan for 2% or something? So 2 million gross a year ain't going to cut it. And 1 million net's not going to cut it. And you're still going to have repair and all this other stuff. So you can't buy it. Just stop. All right. You already know going in. So this is why you have to buy assets that make sense. Does it make sense for me to invest like our own Mr. Dividend Brian P, 15,000 in a TSLY Tesla stock at YieldMax ETFs? It's going to give you roughly $1 per share or 77 cents per share. So let's just say you have 1,000 shares, you get $770 per month. At the end of the year, you get $8,400. Is that worth $15,000? I think yes. You're going to pay a 15% capital gains tax on it because you're going to withdraw it after 1 year. They're going to start collecting. I say yes. Because you're going to actually rebuy more shares instead of taking money out your first year. So you're going to add an additional 500, 600, 700 shares over the course of the year, maybe more. And now checks are over $1,000 passively. YieldMax ETFs, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. All right. There's something I missed. Well, I won't even talk about this stock symbol, but it's okay. I am a fan of REITs whenever Federal Reserve reduces interest rates. So go get real estate investment trusts. And I'm not talking about a freaking Cardone fund that automatically says you get 5%. I'm not talking about, what's the other one? I just mentioned it the other day. Fundrise. Yeah, Fundrise. I'm not talking about that either. I'm not talking about 5%. If you want 5%, then don't even bother. Just go get JEPI, JEPQ, JP Morgan ETF, call it a day, get your 9, 10%. Why F around with 5%? Come on, stop. All right. So these are the type of things that make sense. You have to think what makes sense for you. Sometimes people have an accountant or a CPA, right, that they discuss things with and see what works for the amount of money and what your goals are. Sometimes it has something to do with your goals. I'm going to retire in 25 years. So then you're going to have a different goal. You're not going to probably do things aggressively. You're just going to go, okay, put this amount in. You want 9%. This is what you do. This is your end result after the 20 years. You can do simple. You don't have to do crazy stuff. But you will have to consistently do something for that a length of time. All right. So, yeah. So anyhow, Paul Castillo, speaking of the 18%, I don't know if they're going to do 18%, but all I know is they've already said they're going to tax it. That only makes sense. You have to protect your hotels. Your hotels have occupancy rates of over 80%. And in some cases, some months, 98, 99. That's crazy. So, of course, you're going to protect, and the richest families own those. So they're going to protect them. So sooner or later, there's going to be some tax. I just don't think they're doing it now, because if you do it now and do it too early, you don't get to lock people in, like what they did with the condo hotel situation. They don't get to lock you in. So you don't get any love. You don't get to, this is why I'm a little bummed that there are 9 properties now that did condo hotels. And actually Larimar's 10, but at least Larimar didn't do like what other people have done. They haven't announced that Prime Towers or Horizon is a condo hotel. Get you to buy, then the place is sold out. Then after you found out you bought it, it's like a condo hotel. That's a ripoff. So now it has to be caution, because you definitely won't survive for a condo hotel and have to 18% tax. I mean, I just don't see how that happens. Because I'm personally, if somebody told me I'm going to be paying $350, $400 a night just to stay in Los Corrales, let's say, and then I'd be like, well, how much is it to stay at Cap Cana? And then they say, oh, it's $500. I'd be like, well, I'm not going to the DR. Quite frankly, I'm not. Because I'm not going to the DR to spend like $3,500 a week in accommodations. That defeats the whole purpose. If I'm going to do this, then I'll pick some other places. Quite frankly. I mean, it's not, I'll go to the Hawaiian Islands then, forget that. Same weather, nice waters, and I'll spend, well, actually a little less. It's like, there's a cap. You just can't do anything. You'll find yourself like the Virgin Islands, St. Martin, Turks and Caicos, Bimini, all these little islands that were inexpensive at one time. And now how many people do you hear saying I'm going? See, there's a huge difference. Back in the day, you're going because things were $175 a night, $150 a night, $199 a night. As soon as you start saying things like 3, 4, 5, people are like, well, I'll just stay at the all-inclusive. All I can eat, all I can drink, and I'm good. So there's a ceiling. That's the thing. There's always a ceiling. You never get to just willy-nilly do something. And all-inclusive, they have a ceiling. Because when they add all these other properties that are all-inclusive all throughout, I'll just stay with Punta Cana, Cap Cana area, you're diluting the market. The only way it's sustainable is if the government's able to do what I'm suggesting they're able to do. You have to add 500 to 1 million customers for the next 4 years. They are going to have to get to 15 million, 16 million, and I don't know if they can. I think they should be able to, but they have more than enough locations where people can go around the island. But now you're going to run up against, is it going to be affordable for even your best customers? The 60% of customers, Canadian and USA citizens. Because if those 60% dwindles, then you're not going to reach your 15 million goal. See, there's a cutoff. And I don't know what that cutoff is, but it actually has started. because the buying frenzy for pre-construction has slowed down because prices have doubled. Literally. You could buy like I'll say it again, Victor Moreau bought a 2-bedroom 230 at the time, was one of the higher ends, higher prices, because in that same location people were spending 175, but it's not the same type buildings and accommodations, but that was the range, 175 to 230, somewhere in there, 250 maybe. But the question is, can we survive a short-term rental scenario? And that's what we're trying to do. I don't see how we survive if you're paying 350, 360, 400, 520. Why do I say 520? Check this out. Check this out. I'll show you guys something. Since we're talking about picking the right prices and all that. We're in the SSN Nation lifestyle group. Let me see. Who was that? That was Jason. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys. This should scare everybody who's trying to look at this. Watch this. Look at this. Let's see here. Where's the 2-bedroom? Oh, damn. This is at Moon Palace in Macau. On the grounds of Moon Palace is Solia Tower 1. You're not going to believe this when you see it, but this is not a misprint. Look at, well, it's hard to, if you guys can see this. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. Look at, well, just look at the second set of yellow and look at the 2-bedroom. That's roughly 1,400 square feet, $434,000. This is next door to where Hard Rock is. 2-bedroom, 435. Okay. All right. So you see where this is going. And that is Garden View. Okay, let me see if there's an Ocean View left. Let me see. Ocean View, 2-bedroom, same size unit, 479. Here, I'll show you guys. I don't want anybody thinking. And then look at the 2-bedroom, 495. You guys see this at the bottom? 499, 2-bedroom, 1,400 square feet, 495, 2-bedroom, Ocean View. You see where I'm talking about? That is high risk. That's 500 grand for a 2-bedroom condo that sleeps, well, 4 or 6 if you put in a sofa sleeper. It's nothing like, I mean, sure, you have Ocean View. Sure. You're on the grounds of a golf course at Moon Palace. I haven't even made a video about it because the prices are off the charts. And I don't know what they're doing. Are they going to turn Moon Palace is a vacation club, in case people don't know? Are they going to actually turn it into a condo hotel? Because I'd hate to have somebody buy one of these things at 500 and find out it's a condo hotel. They haven't said it, so I don't believe it will be, but 500 grand for an Ocean View, 200 and 1,200, well, 1,400 square feet. That's $3,500 per square meter, $350 per square foot. Does it make sense to buy this asset? I don't know, because I don't know how much Moon Palace charges at their property for their, I am assuming it's all inclusive. I don't know. Maybe they charge $1,100 per night. I don't know. For their studio unit, all inclusive. But how much are you going to have to charge to make it make sense. There's no sense in buying something for 550,000 so you can just recoup 30 grand a year. That doesn't even make any sense. That's not even 10%. So that's 6%. So if you want to do what they do in Vegas, then you might as well just go buy something in Vegas for 550 and you know it gets 80% occupancy and still get your same 6 or 5 or 4%. Check out the video, you'll see. Wait, she doesn't send me a message back. So on this, you're gonna have to send me a message. I'm on too long. Wasn't planning on being on this long. Nope. She didn't send me back a message. Didn't send me back a message. Okay. Yeah, honest, you're going to have to hit me up, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's past my bedtime, I think. Make sure you smash the like button. I haven't been on Instagram to go check on people, but there's still people there. And I want to say thank you guys for being here as well. We're going to wrap this up tonight because I only talked about a few things. You guys stayed up late. Thank you so much for being with me. Wednesday night, 8:50 p.m., we're going to have another live stream. But on Wednesday night, only members with the icon, they're the only ones that can be in the chat room. Everybody else, you can watch. You can join us by watching, but only if you're a member of the channel. Subscriber, you won't be able to be in the chat room on Wednesday night at 8:50 p.m. We'll have another subject matter. I don't know what it'll be, but it'll have something to do with whatever's going on in the financial markets. We will be talking about it on Wednesday for the Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. And I thank you all for showing your love, showing up tonight. Thank you for the long conversation that I'm having with you. And if there's anything you ever need, make sure you can hit me up at support@stopstrugglingnow.com or join us on the WhatsApp group. It's very simple. Join us on the WhatsApp group and make sure you smash the like buttons on the way out. Make sure you share the videos. Let people know we talk the real here. We don't sugarcoat. We don't make it easy for you. We don't sit there and do the rah, everything's going to be fine. When you don't know what the outcome of something's going to be, you cannot say it's going to be fine. Just like right now. If you don't watch the Dominican Republic Weekly, then you would not know that DR, Minister of Tourism, admitted, hell, a year ago, that they're going to tax the Airbnbs. The only thing he did not do was the most important part. What will the tax be? The tax in DR is 18% walking around. If you go to a restaurant, they add an extra 10%. Or, customer service type place, an extra 10%. So you pay 28% in tax. So all I'm saying is, I don't see how they don't. Even if they do 10% or 9%, that's still significant. If you want rental rates to be nice, 200, 300, you're going to be paying 10% tax. Or shall I say charge people. Airbnb is going to charge people the 10%. That means the prices rise. So you can't be just going out here buying something just because it's in a cool spot. And yeah, it goes up in value. Somebody's going to buy it for more. I mean, let's face facts. That Moon Palace Ocean View unit for $494 wasn't $494, it was $395. So somebody's going to make a nice profit on it if they flip it. But if you don't plan on flipping anything, then you can't go for upscale luxury. And you damn sure better not be going for it so you can just hang out there for 3 months a year or 2 months a year, because your HOAs, they're not going to be any joke. For $350, $400 a month, that's no joke in my book. Heaven forbid the thousands you pay at the condo hotels in Vegas. Like I said, the MGM, what's it called? I don't own there, but the MGM condo hotel, $1,700 per night for 1 bedroom. I mean, $1,700 a month HOA fees. It just got moved up. Studio units, I think it's 12 something now, or 1,300. That's your HOAs, not your mortgage, not anything. That's your HOAs. So does it, I mean, but they do rent for 80% occupancy, and they're like 400 per night, but you only get half of it because it's like 50%. So you get 200. So you're down to, and if you have a mortgage, you're down to, you're paying for people to stay in your own place. That's crazy. Doesn't make sense. Just like buying stocks. And you're picking individual stocks based on certain criteria. Why do that when you can pick an ETF? You can pick a real estate investment trust ETFs that give you dividends, or you can pick VOO, VOOG, which are Vanguard groups, IWMYs. You can pick a lot of things that give you a return, whether dividends or traditionally go up 8-9% annually in stock price. So whenever you sell it, you get that year over year advantage. So those are things to think about. And then, of course, business-wise, something to think about. Those are the 3 tiers right there. You need business. You have to be in business in order to survive any price increases. The cost of living increases, you have to be in business because you have an unlimited range. So the example I'm going to use here is the rentals, short-term rentals. What I can charge now, I could not charge 4 years ago. The cost of living has went up. People are paying more at hotels, so then my cost goes up. The place in Las Vegas, when the F1 comes, they're going to be charging for a 2-bedroom unit $700 per night. This is the knockoff, or when it's any other special event at the Sphere, it starts getting this. This is what the hotel is charging. So the funny part is that means my $499 on Airbnb, and somebody now has to pay $5. I think that ends up being almost, I can't remember. It's $560. I don't even really pay attention. I just know what I get. $499 less 3%. But Airbnb charges probably $610. But for the people that are paying $699 and they want to stay there 4 nights, they're like $700. Oh, and the $699 doesn't even include the tax. So these people are paying like $790 or something for 3 nights, 4 nights. Let's call it 800 times 4, $3,200. So then they're like 6 times 4 is 24. Same place, same spot, same thing. So why am I going to spend the other amount, the higher amount, the 3,200 when I can spend 24 or less? So that's how you get the rentals. But if you reverse this, and it makes no sense, where the hotel all of a sudden goes, well, we're just charging $299 a night. And then now you're saying, okay, I'll charge $229. Now all of a sudden it doesn't make sense, because your HOA maintenance, anything you have to do, you might as well, you didn't cut yourself down to $200 or $300 profit, if that. So is it really worth it? So I'm just saying, those are the things you have to look at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap this up. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here. And that's why it's imperative you get extra streams of revenue, because they could be shut off. By the way, this is the last, I should have mentioned this before. I have like 5 streams of revenue that has been shut off, literally. All right. 5. All right. So now I have to reimagine my streams of revenue to see if I can even use those vehicles anymore. So therefore, this is why I always said you need 7 streams of revenue to come in. All right. This is simple. You need 7. You just don't need 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to need 7 different varieties that can't be shut down. And oh, by the way, I guess it's time I should end this story with the last part. Keep in mind, you're going to need your duffel bag of cash. You're going to need your bullets. So be very, very careful about keeping your duffel bag of cash in the hands of a bank. All right? Just be very, very careful. You should keep it in a brokerage account before you keep it in a bank account. They are separate. Just saying. All right? Just saying. So banks, whatever happens, there's going to be a few that's going to be closing branches, doing a few things, and just pay attention, all right? Because there's going to be a little turmoil because America is going to the max. They're still spending a little bit more money, increasing the deficits. 70% to 78% of the people can't pay bills or living paycheck to paycheck. How many of that can't pay bills? We don't know, but it's going to keep growing. So you're going to have a floundering lower middle class, below lower middle class wiped out already. Next is upper middle class. They're coming for the rest. So then it's going to be the have and the have-nots. So you're going to have. And I suggest you figure worldwide. Make connections around the world. Do business in different locations. That's all I can suggest at this point. And you're going to have to make more money in the United States. So this is why a lot of people are leaving the country to live elsewhere. And with all that said, be safe out here. You never know when somebody else is on whatever they're on, stressed. That could be any one of us. And with all that said, keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.